A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
In just a moment, Autolite presents Suspense with Claude Rains and Vincent Price.
More coffee, Arlo?
I believe not, Hap. And I want to thank you and Mary for a marvelous meal. A delightful, delicious, lovely dinner.
You're more than welcome, Harlow. Uh-oh, here comes Mary with that who's going to wash the dishes look in her eye. You better start talking about Autolite resistor spark plugs and fast.
Yes, of course, Hap. Autolite resistor spark plugs. As I was saying, right now, by Cornelius, is the time when all good men who know good things will come to the aid of their cars with a set of brand new wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs. Why, with their wide spark gap, those Autolite resistor spark plugs do things for a car your old narrow-gap spark plugs just can't match. Why, they're marvelous. They're magnificent. By Cornelius, they're matchless.
You're sparking, Harlow, but let's switch to Suspense.
Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations bring you radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Starring tonight, Mr. Claude Rains and Mr. Vincent Price in Anton Leader's production of The Hands of Mr. Ottermole. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tell me, Sergeant.
Yes?
Why do you think the Strangler killed the 5 times he did?
6 times, Mr. Newspaper Man.
6?
Yes.
Well, I suppose you do know as much about the Strangler as I do. How long have you been on the police force, Sergeant?
This is my 15th year as a member of His Majesty's Metropolitan Police, Mr. Newspaper Man. For 10 years, I walked the beats of the Casper Street station, and for the past 5 years, I've been a sergeant of that station. In 15 years, you learn a lot about many things, including murder.
Oh, yes, murder. It's a word and a deed which has fascinated more people than you and I could count. By all means, Sergeant, let's talk about murder.
You'd think there'd be little murder in such a district, wouldn't you, Mr. Newspaper Man? Murder for a bit of henning, cup of tea. There's nothing there to take except lives. And it was there that the Strangler came to practice his grim trade. Already he'd struck twice. Once on Lagos Street, once on Breen Street. His strong, white hands reaching for an unexpected throat. Then he'd vanished into the darkness, leaving behind something that once had been a living, breathing human. What was his gain? Perhaps no more than the satisfaction of a job well done. Perhaps he felt he'd done some poor devil a favor, that a sympathetic force led him to his victims the same as a cyclone picks one corner and misses another. I was thinking about that the night I first met you, Mr. Newspaper Man. I was walking down Malin End when I saw you, standing in the shadows.
Good evening, officer.
Stand where you are. Who are you?
From the Daily Herald, officer.
Oh, newspaper man, eh?
Yes.
What you doing here?
Oh, looking for a story. Are you expecting to catch the Strangler, officer?
What would you know about the Strangler, Mr. Newspaper Man?
Only that he likes your district and that you have no idea who he is.
That's right. He could be anybody who's about in this district at night. Perhaps even a newspaper man.
Oh, you suspect that I might be making my news before I write? And I shall keep that in mind for dull days. Good night, sir.
All right. I watched you, Mr. Newspaper Man, as you walked away. Watched and thought of the force that moved the Strangler. About the same time, that force, whatever it was, brought the Strangler to Mr. Wybrow, an honest worker whom I've seen so many times I can tell you nearly exactly how he spent his last few minutes on Earth. I know the very sound of his footsteps, almost his every thought. And I can hear the footsteps of the man who followed him. It was 6 o'clock of an evening, and Mr. Wybrow was going home from work. He stepped off the tram at High Street and Malin End and walked slowly, wondering if his missus would have herring or haddock for his tea. It was a wretched night, and he could taste the fog in his throat, feel the dampness through the soles of his shoes. He turned down Lagos Street, and the footsteps behind turned with him. And so, one behind the other, the two men walked through Lagos and turned into Loyal Lane. Any man other than Mr. Wybrow might have heard some warning in the footsteps that followed him. Something that said, beware. 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 No. The foot of a killer falls just as quietly as the foot of any other worker. But those footfalls were bearing a pair of hands to Mr. Wybrow. And there is something in hands. Behind him, even then, those hands were flexing themselves, feeling the strength run down through the strong fingers. Mr. Wybrow was almost home. He turned down Casper Street, plodding along through the dim light. Small dog barked at the figures. Voices drifted out from the shabby houses, but Mr. Wybrow paid no attention to them or to the steps which followed him. Ahead of Mr. Wybrow was his own house, and he walked a little faster. Maybe it looked like he was going to get away, but the man behind only smiled and followed at the same pace. Mr. Wybrow turned in at his own gate and opened the door. He stepped inside.
Is that you, Harry?
Yes. What's for tea, Flossie?
Harry, you're lucky to be getting that. Who's that?
How do I know before I've opened the door? If it's a collector, he can just nip off. Well, what?
And that is how Mr. and Mrs. Wybrow became the third and fourth, but not the last victims of the strangling horror.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. Claude Rains and Mr. Vincent Price in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Hap, let me tell you about a foolish fellow who got the outside of his car all dolled up with doodads, trinkets, boxtails, and whatnot.
All right.
And then by Cornelius, he comes chug-a-lugging up the avenue with misfiring spark plugs and his engine sounding like a stuttering teapot. Hey, friend, I yelled at him, why don't you switch to a set of those smooth-firing Autolite resistor spark plugs and make that bus of yours sound as fancy as it looks?
And what did he answer?
This guy said to me, plugs is plugs. Well, Autolite resistor spark plugs, I corrected him, are different. They've got a 10,000-ohm resistor, ignition engineered right into the spark plug that permits the Autolite resistor spark plug to maintain a much wider spark gap setting. This extra wide gap, friend, lets your car idle smoother, gives you better luck with lean gas mixtures, actually saves gas. What's more, Autolite resistor spark plugs cut down spark plug interference with radio and television reception. Pipe that.
That's telling him.
Wow, he says, can you back up all that sales talk? Ah, listen, pal, I told him, these are just a few fine and fancy facts. And what's more, those wide-gap Autolite resistor spark plugs are one of over 400 automotive, aviation, and marine products world famous for their Autolite engineered dependability.
Then what, Harlow?
I'll tell you the rest after Suspense, Hap.
And now, Autolite brings back to a Hollywood soundstage Mr. Claude Rains and Mr. Vincent Price in The Hands of Mr. Ottermole, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Sergeant, did you ever stop to wonder at the pranks of fate? Mr. Wybrow died at the one moment when there was no one around to witness his death.
That's true.
A few minutes earlier, perhaps a few minutes later, there were people on the street. think how different it might have been if you had arrived there earlier than you did.
Perhaps, Mr. Newspaper Man, but I'd finished my evening tea and was walking through Casper Street to the station. Mr. Wybrow was still lying on the door of his house, his wife on the floor a little beyond him. Both were dead. I blew my whistle, and the constable came on the run. He searched the house, then talked to the neighbors on either side. Nobody had heard anything except Mrs. Wybrow's scream, and they thought that just a family fight. There's no sign of anything but brutal murder. While we waited for the ambulance, I suddenly remembered something. Smithers.
Yes, sir?
Just before I found them, I saw you standing at the end of the lane. What were you up to there?
I thought I saw a suspicious character mucking about there, sir, and I was keeping an eye on him.
Suspicious character, but blasted. You don't want to look for suspicious characters. You want to look for murderers.
Yes, sir. Think we'll get him, sir?
Well, just between you and me, Smithers, I have my doubts. With a man who kills to get a few bob, you know he's going to keep on because as soon as he's broke, he'll slush another one. But a man like this, you don't know when he'll strike again. Or if he'll strike again. Back at the station, the newspaper men were waiting for the story, having scented it the way dogs will smell out the fresh track of a fox. There was one newspaper man, tall, with shoulders and arms that looked more like a coal heaver than a journalist, who kept asking about clues as though he wanted to solve the case himself. That was you, Mr. Newspaper Man, or maybe you just wanted to find out how much we knew. After the newspaper men left, I was in my office, finishing up my report, when there was a knock on the door. Who's there?
Do you mind if I come in, Sergeant?
Oh, it's you.
Yes, I thought of a few more questions I'd like to ask you.
Oh, it seems to me you are around all the time.
So?
Yes. And now you want to ask more questions. I'm afraid we can't give out any more information than you already have.
Half a minute, Sergeant. All the papers are going to do a regular story on the strangling monster. I thought I'd like to do something different, more of a mood piece. Now, you look like an intelligent man, Sergeant.
Thanks.
Well, I thought you might help.
Well, maybe I can, maybe I can't. What do you want to know?
What sort of a man do you think the killer is? You really think he's a monster who can slip through the night without being seen?
No, I think he's probably a very ordinary man. Everyone, even our own constables, is looking for a monster instead of a man standing next to them. No, this man can move about and no one sees him because he's an ordinary man, and it's ordinary for him to be around. He might be a bootblack, a man who makes deliveries, or even a policeman. Or a journalist.
Why do you say that?
I don't think I meant anything personal, Mr. Newspaper Man. I meant that he is merely someone you look at and never think that maybe he might strangle someone.
Your theory is very interesting, Sergeant. And do you also think that you'll catch him?
Well, if he's caught, short of actually catching him in the act, it'll be because of only one thing.
Oh, and that is?
Curiosity.
Curiosity?
Yes. He'll be nabbed if his curiosity is too great. If he wonders how near others are to him. If he has to ask questions and then returns to ask still more questions. Later that evening, I went out into the district, visiting beat after beat. The presence of the killer, the strangling horror, was in the air. The entire district was given over, not to panic, for London never yields to that, but to fear of the unknown. And while the community still gasped over the deaths of Mr. and Mrs. Wybrow, while fear was moving into every tenement, the killer made his next move. Conscious of the horror caused by his hands and as hungry for more as any giddy girl at her first performance in the music hall, his hands reached out again. Well, I was cutting through Clemming Street when I saw you again, Mr. Newspaper Man. You slipped along the street, peering into alleys. Even then I had a hunch to stop you, yet I felt I had no real reason to suspect you, so I walked on. Peterson and Joyner were patrolling Joyningham Road. It was just 9:32 when I met Joyner near the middle of the street. I spoke to him and went on. At 9:33, I met Peterson coming back from the other end of the street. I answered his greeting and passed, intending to go to the end of the beat and cut over to Logan Passage. Then, during the few seconds that everyone's back was turned towards the spot where he stood, the killer struck again. Joiner, here.
What's that? Good heavens! It's Peterson.
Yes, Peterson, dead like the rest of them, strangled right under our noses. Where were you, Joiner?
I just reached the end of my beat, Sergeant. Was already turning when I heard your whistle.
No, I just passed him on my way to Logan.
Then we were covering both ends of the street. He must have come from Minnow Street, or Clemming Street, and gone back the same way before we could see him. It is dimly lit around here, sir.
Say, what's up, Constable? I heard...
Stand where you are. Oh. It's you, Mr. Newspaper Man?
Yes. So he struck again. What happened, Sergeant?
I've been checking the beats.
Huh.
I came up here, passing Joyner and then Peterson here. I was at this end of the street, Joyner at that, with Peterson in between us going towards Joyner. He cried out once, and then was like this. We saw no one. Where were you when you heard my whistle?
On Clemming Street, perhaps half a square down, and no one passed that way.
That means that he must have come from Minnow. Shall I ring in, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, Joyner. Half a square down Clemming Street, were you?
That's right.
That's where you were more than 5 minutes ago when I passed and you were coming this way.
Well, I thought I saw something in one of the alleys and stopped to look closer. Oh, now, come, Sergeant. Let's not start suspecting each other. The mutual suspicion of this district is catching.
Yeah. I suppose it is.
Yes, of course.
Still, there's a murderer who must be caught. Mr. Newspaper Man. The following day, I was back on duty early. The sight of a uniformed sergeant somehow gave the people a bit more confidence than that of the constables. Bobbies are well enough in their way, but your average Londoner likes to see more important officials around when things are a bit rough. The talk in the pubs and on the streets was all cut from the same cloth. And the pattern was fear.
I say the strangler's some posh who's off his beam. Thinks as though we ain't squeezed dry enough. So he nips over, squeezes a little more, and pops back to the West End.
Oh, you're balmy. Eat a leg. Didn't he get a peeler last night, and don't that prove it?
He's a bleeding Jack the Ripper. That's what he is. And he'll bloody well kill a lot of us without a single bloody flick to stop him.
He got a bobby, didn't he? And with bobbies crawling all over the place and not one to lay a hand on him. And who's to stop him? That's what I want to know.
I walked the streets, dropping a bit of cheer here and there. 4 or 5 times I saw you again, Mr. Newspaper Man. Your dark face twisted with emotion as you listened to the talk. This, too, was queer, for you were the only newspaper man I saw in the whole district. By 9 o'clock, I was in Richards Lane, a narrow street, partly a stall market and partly cheap homes. On one side was the shattered wall of the railway yard. The wall of the railway yard put a shadow over the street so that even a garbage can looked like a man crouching. Farther down the street, the outline of the empty market stalls looked like a bunch of ghosts waiting for the man who would send them more ghosts. There was no one on the street, no one to witness that which was about to be. Then, suddenly, in the time between one footfall and another, the wall of silence was broken.
Help! He's here!
And then the lane came to life. It seemed like they were all released by that scream. All along the street, doors opened and people poured into the street, muttering as the stored-up anger began to overcome their fear. They milled around, uncertain which way to turn. Then the whistle pointed the direction to them. Gathering like dark clouds, they moved down on the cottage where I stood with the constables. The sight of so many of us made them feel that he would now be caught, and that anger came up in answer to it.
Well, go in and get him. What you waiting for?
He's through killing now. Go on and get him, you bloody peelers.
He ought to be strung up. That's what
Break it up. Move back, all of you. Joiner, get around to the back and meet the constables there. Martin, Addison, take the house on the left. Jones, Edmonds, take the house on the right. Betts, you come with me.
Take a piece of it from me, Sergeant.
Inside the cottage, a whole family lay dead, fallen around the supper table. One look at their necks showed us the strangler's trademark again, but there was nothing in that cottage except death. One by one, the constables came back to report. Nothing. Once more, he had killed and slipped away. Again, I looked out at the crowd, now beginning to move back as they realized we were empty-handed. Suddenly I saw in the front ranks your face again, the newspaper man who seemed to be everywhere I turned. There was a light in your face, a light that was almost happiness. And looking at you in that brief second, I was aware that there were two of us who now knew the identity of the murderer. But the crowd shifted back, began to lose themselves in the shadows, and you were gone before I could move. The strangler had struck again, and again. We were empty-handed as we waited for the ambulance.
You may have been empty-handed, Sergeant, but I'm sure there were enough thoughts in your head to make up for the lack of something to put your hands on. Dark thoughts, perhaps.
Yes, I did think, Mr. Newspaper Man. I tried to imagine what you were doing during the next hour. I thought perhaps that you went to the nearest pub and sat alone at the bar, attended by a frightened barmaid. I think you dismissed the strangling horror from your mind and thought only of the glass of stout and the sandwich where even such men as you must rebuild their strength. I think you looked at the sandwich, noticing that it was skimpy, as bar sandwiches usually are, and you may have thought idly of the inventor of the sandwich, the Earl of Sandwich, then of George the Fourth, then of all the Georges, as any good Englishman might, and so to that George who wondered how the apple got into the apple dumpling. It was while thinking of that, and how the ham got into the ham sandwich, that your mind came back to the people who had been murdered. Maybe it was then that you thought of the simplest fact of all, that the murderer could escape by either running away or by standing still. It was then, I think, that you got up from the bar without finishing your sandwich. It was perhaps 20 minutes later that you walked down the street and met the man you were looking for.
Well, seen anything of the murderer, Sergeant?
Oh, it's you again.
Yes.
No, nor is anybody else. And I doubt if they ever will.
Oh, I don't know. He's already struck 5 times. I've been thinking about it, and I've got an idea.
So?
Yes. Came to me all of a sudden. And I felt that we'd all been blind. It's been staring us in the face.
Oh? Has it now? Well, if you're so sure, why not give us the benefit of it?
I'm going to. Yes, it seems quite simple now. But there's still one more point I don't quite understand. I mean the motive. Now, as man to man, tell me, Sergeant Ottermole, just why did you kill those inoffensive people?
Well, to tell the truth, Mr. Newspaper Man, I don't know. But I've got an idea, just like you. Everybody knows we can't control the workings of our mind. Ideas come into our heads without being asked. But everybody's supposed to be able to control his body. Why? We get our minds from heaven knows where, from people who were dead years before we were born, some say. Maybe we get our bodies the same way. Our faces, our legs, our hands. They aren't completely ours. And couldn't
Ideas come into our bodies like ideas come into our minds. Couldn't ideas live in muscles as well as in a brain? Couldn't it be that parts of our bodies aren't really us? And couldn't ideas come into them all of a sudden like ideas come into my hand? You see, Mr. Newspaper Man? It was 6.
One other thing the newspaper man did while he was in that pub. He called his newspaper and told them his idea and said he was coming to meet me. And so they're hanging me, killing me for something which my hands did. I had nothing to do with it. You can see that. But what hurts me the most is what the judge said when he sentenced me. It's not true. It's not true, I tell you. That if I lived, someday these hands, my hands, they say, might reach out for you.
Thank you, Claude Rains and Vincent Price, for a splendid performance. Mr. Rains and Mr. Price will return in just a moment.
Harlow, you were telling me...
Oh, yes. Well, Hap, the next time I saw this fancy fellow, his gadget-laden car was humming and purring up the street as smooth as the slippery glide of a slide trombone. I got my auto light resistor spark plugs, he yelled to me as he whirled by, and they're terrific. Well, by Cornelius, this fellow had the right dope. Because, friends, when you replace your old narrow-gap spark plugs with the wide-gap auto-light resistor spark plugs, you can really tell the difference in your car. So if you don't already have a set of auto-light resistor spark plugs, drive down tomorrow to your nearest auto-light dealer and treat your car right. Switch to Autolite. And, friends, remember, too, Autolite means spark plugs.
Ignition-engineered resistor spark plugs.
Autolite means batteries.
Stay full batteries.
Autolite means ignition system.
The lifeline of your car.
And now here again is Mr. Claude Rains.
The Hands of Mr. Ottermole has always been one of my favorite mystery stories, and so it was a great pleasure to be able to play it on Suspense, one of my favorite radio programs. What about you, Vincent?
Well, I agree with you on both counts, Claude. And in addition, I found it refreshing to play the murder victim for a change instead of the murderer. By the way, Claude, what will we be hearing on Suspense next week?
A treat you won't want to miss. One of Hollywood's most glamorous stars, Miss Rosalind Russell, in a top story, The Sisters. Another gripping study in
Suspense.
Claude Rains will soon be seen in the Paramount picture The Sin of Abby Hunt. Vincent Price can currently be seen with Lana Turner, Gene Kelly, and June Allison in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's Technicolor production, The Three Musketeers. Tonight's suspense play was the famous story by Thomas Burke, adapted for radio by Ken Crossan, with music composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as James Cagney, Ronald Coleman, William Bendix, and others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And next Thursday, same time, hear Rosalind Russell in The Sisters.
This is the Autolite Suspense Show. Turn in your scrap steel to your local scrap dealer. The more scrap, the more steel. Good night. Switch to Autolite.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Arch Obler's plays. A Story in the Night.
Yes, Adelina, I am here.
Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller.
Yes, she'll be here any moment. I sent for her. You must not talk, Adelina. You're strained. Come, Frank. We'll go see if Dr. Miller is coming. Yeah. So, now I can breathe.
But, Herbert, Dr. Miller, why do you send for her? What can she do?
Do not be a fool. Did you not hear her? It was the old woman. Dr. Miller, Dr. Miller. I tell you, she drove me crazy with it. Until finally I sent for Dr. Miller.
But will she come?
Who knows? And if she does come, what difference can it make? The old woman, worn-out machine. 84 years is long enough. Perhaps that is the doctor now.
I will go with you. I cannot believe that she would come here.
In a moment we shall see. Yes, I'm coming.
Adelina lives here?
Yes, Dr. Miller. You do not recognize me, perhaps. I am the mayor, old Albert.
Oh, yes.
Will you honor my house by entering?
Of course.
I did not know if you would come. You are so busy. She is such an old
She is a
woman.
friend of my mother's. Where is she?
This way, please.
Albert.
Oh, yes. Doctor, if you will permit me. This is my good neighbor, Frank.
It is a great honor meeting you, Dr. Miller.
Adelina, you say she is dying. Why do you keep me from her?
Oh, no, Doctor. Do not even think such a thing. Come this way. In here, Doctor. In here. You hear? She talks with her last breath so pitifully. It is a great pity. For one as old as she, it would take heaven's own intervention to
Please
stop.
go now.
Huh? Oh, yes, of course, Doctor. Anything you say.
Adelina. Try to open your eyes. It is I, your old friend, Dr. Mueller.
Dr. Miller.
Yes, I came as quickly as I could.
Dr. Miller. I'm waiting.
Yes. Here is my hand. Oh, my friend, you are in pain.
My son. My youngest. In 2 days, he will be here. Oh, Dr. Miller, I am so tired, and I want to die. But not yet. Not yet.
No, you must rest.
Not yet. Not yet. I tell you, I must not die. Not yet.
Adelina, please.
My youngest. He comes. I must see him once more. I must not die. Not yet. Not.
Oh, my friend.
You call me friend, Doctor. You, my only friend. Have pity.
What can I do?
Give me life. Give me life for a few more hours until my son arrives. You are so wise. A few more hours. Say you can give me life.
Life.
I am so old. I know. The blood is cold and warm. But in your wisdom, you must know some way. You keep a little warmth within me. A little warmth
I don't... Oh, good friend. Do not turn away from me. I beg you. Have pity. Help me. All day. I have fought so long. Now you must help me, Dr. Miller. A few more breaths until my son. Help me. Yes, I will help you. You must not speak. You must use all your strength in listening and trying to understand what I am going to say. Good friend, what I am about to tell you is so strange that I almost dare not speak. And yet if I am to help you as you ask, I must speak. No, just listen. As you've said yourself, death is very close to you. And since yours is the disease of old age, of a body worn with long years of living, there's nothing that medicine can do for you. Except perhaps to ease your leaving of this life. And I will help you. But what I'm about to do to you is something I should not do. Listen, good friend. Try to understand. For many years I have worked with little white mice attempting to discover the true nature of cancer. For many years, good friend. And while in these studies I've made a discovery. A discovery which goes beyond all understanding. In working on the little creatures, I discovered that when an organism has lived its full span of years, the cells within the body become aged, worn, and become what I call a fibroblast. Now I've discovered that by injecting the extract to the tissues... Oh, she dies. What should... I promised her. I must do it, I must. My instrument case. I must. I promise. The hypodermic. My hands tremble. The liquid, so green. If it only gives her a little more of life. My hands must be sure. Needle. Deep into her heart. No, you must live. Only a few seconds more until I... There. Deep. Done. No. It will never work. My experiment's foolishness, the reaction on the mice, only the illusion of my hopes. And to do what I've done to this old woman. Her dying flesh. Her pulse almost gone. Oh, forgive me, old friend. In your death... No. Not dead. Lips. Cheeks so red. Eyes open. So bright. So fresh. So young.
Doctor.
No. Doctor! No. It cannot be. No.
Dr. Miller, you
No.
called out. What is it? What?
No.
Doctor, there's the old woman. There's Adelina. Who?
It
This
is
young
I.
woman. Who?
Adelina! Look at me! My arms, warm, alive. My cheeks, I can feel them, round, full like they were years ago. She has made me young. She did it. Me, old Adelina. Young.
I am young. Miracle on earth. A dying old woman young again.
My flesh.
Oh, doctor, all the states will know of this miracle. You have conquered death. We shall live forever.
Oh, no. What have I done? What is it? What do you want?
Doctor, it is I, Frank. Oh, such news. He is coming here. I tell you, he comes here. The mayor is bringing him. He refused to wait until morning.
And who is this impatient one that has to see me at midnight?
It is His Excellency.
His Excellency?
Yeah.
Frank, what are you saying?
I tell you, His Excellency. Oh, his last name. I never can remember names. His picture, you see his picture everywhere. He's coming here, Doctor, to see you. The mayor is bringing him.
Frank, you've been drinking.
Oh, no, I tell the truth, Doctor. The great one has heard of the miracle of Adelina.
What are you saying?
Yeah, the miracle, the resurrection from the grave. I hear him talking to the mayor. He is coming to see you. There. You see, I tell you the truth.
Open up in there.
Aren't you going to open the door?
What else is there to do? Open it, Frank.
Yeah. Oh, what an honor. Oh, yes,
Well, Frank, where is she? Where's Dr. Miller? Have you told her?
I am here, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I did not see you standing there in the shadows. Doctor, a great honor has come to you. Yes, a great honor. Most distinguished visitor our little community has ever known. Yes, a most distinguished...
Excuse me, you cackling old fool.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency. I only thought... That is to say, I only meant...
Stand aside, you fat old fool. Dr. Muller, you know who I am?
Yes, Your Excellency.
I am a man of few words. I will speak plainly. I want plain answers.
I am at your service, Your Excellency.
Then tell me quickly, how did you do this miracle?
Miracle?
He means Adelina. His Excellency means...
Close your mouth. I am talking. Go, all of you.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Now then, Doctor, I ask you for an answer. How did you give that old woman back her youth? Well, don't stand there staring at me. I want an answer. How did you do it?
There is nothing to say.
Nothing to say?
No.
Do you realize to whom you are speaking? There's no doubt you do not. In your unfortunate isolation, you have failed to do your duty in having the proper knowledge of who is important to the state. All right, I will educate you. I am Joseph Brown, Doctor of Philosophy and member of the Department of Propaganda.
I know of you.
So? Then speak plainly. There is no use hiding facts. I've seen the woman with my own eyes. Your fat mare took me to her. I've talked to neighbors, friends. I know that she was worn out, aged, dying. Now she's young again. Speak, and speak plainly. How did you do it?
And if I tell you?
If you tell me. My dear doctor, this is your house?
Yes.
Your experiments in that room?
My laboratory.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Come here.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Open that door.
At once, Your Excellency, at once.
Into your laboratory, my fine doctor. I follow. The rest of you stay out here. Now we will be quite alone. So, now we can speak plainly. So this is where you do your work, my fine doctor?
Yes.
What have we here? Well, mice. Little white mice. How charming.
I use them in my experiments.
And what are your experiments?
The hereditary factor in cancer.
Cancer. So you persist in lying to me. Doctor, they tell me you are a very clever woman. Yet I assure you, you will be most stupid if you persist in keeping the truth from me. I am not a violent man, so I ask you very calmly to be sensible and speak freely. Now then, the miracle of youth. How did you do it?
I am not quite sure myself.
That is no answer. Well, there are other methods. Mr. Mayor.
You want me, Your Excellency?
Come here.
Yes. Anything you say, Your Excellency.
Mr. Mayor, how old are you?
Why, Your Excellency, I'm not quite sure. In my 50s, I believe.
All right, you will do. Bare your arm.
My arm?
You heard me. All right, doctor. Give him the injection.
Injection? Me?
You will kindly shut your mouth. You heard my order, doctor. Do as I say.
The injection to him?
Yes, to him. I spoke plainly enough.
But I can't do that.
Why not? You will have more of the liquid.
Yes, but don't you understand? It's permanent reactions on the human mechanism. I don't know that... And so I dare not use it.
But that woman, she is young.
Yes, but who knows what other...
All right. That's quite enough. Doctor, I have come a long way to investigate a rumor. Now I am here, and you will do as I say.
If I refuse?
Do not speak like a child. I am not a violent man, and yet... Doctor, it would be a pity to lose your life work, hmm? Now, do not stand there. I'm growing quite impatient. Yes, and the mayor, too, grows impatient.
Oh, Your Excellency, what are you going to do to me? I am an old
Hold
man.
your mouth and bear your arm, you old fool. Well, Doctor?
I am ready.
Excellent.
Oh, Doctor, what...
Hold your tongue, I tell you. Proceed, Doctor.
Oh.
It will not hurt, Albert.
So, how simple. The needle in, you press the plunger.
It is done. How do you feel, my friend?
Yes. How is it, old man? What's going on inside of you? Look, his flesh.
It begins to glow like hers did.
The wrinkle's gone. His back straightening.
It happened again.
A miracle. Speak, man. Speak.
Your Excellency, my head, it hurts. My blood rushing through my veins. Doctor, why do you look at me so? My voice sounds so strange in my ears.
Look in the mirror ahead of you, you old fool.
Yes. No, it cannot be. My face, young. I'm young again. Doctor, look at me. Young again. Young again. I'm young again.
Young again.
Oh, my muscles so strong. Look, I jump, I dance. And let me out of here. Everyone shall see.
Yes, go.
Frank, everyone, look, I'm young. I'm young again. She made me young.
So, it makes them young again.
Does it?
Are you blind? Didn't you see it just as I saw it? Wrinkled flesh, young, twisted back straight. I tell you, a gift to the state from heaven.
Or hell.
All science is mad, and all scientists are madmen. I have often said that. Only we who think with our blood think clearly and recognize our destiny.
I don't understand.
You will receive many honors for this, Doctor. Oh, but first, you have kept an accurate record of your experiments?
Yes.
May I ask where?
Notebook. This.
Excellent. In the name of the state, I ask you to give it to me.
To you?
Yes.
What would you do with it?
I told you. There are some of us who recognize our destiny. I recognize this as mine.
What?
With this power in my possession, think what wonders I can perform. An army of youth, everlasting youth. An army invincible.
Oh, no.
Old men young and young men forever young. An army without end sweeping the earth. And I, yes, I, their leader.
No, you cannot use it for that.
Cannot? Ah, yes, I understand. You are thinking that there is another leader. Well, Doctor, at this moment I can speak quite frankly with you. Yes, there is a leader, and they bow their heads to him, the masses. But I will tell you this. It was my brains, my catchwords, my slogans that taught them to look on him as the invincible. And so, what they shout for is really a man who exists only in me. Now perhaps I can take my rightful place. He's an emotional old woman, Leland. While I know the wonder and the power of the soft word. With your elixir of youth to tempt men, I shall become quite invincible. With an army invincible. You do not speak? All right. Then do give me the notebook.
You cannot make men young to kill. Make them young to live.
The notebook, Doctor.
No, I will not give it to you. My work has been to preserve life, not to destroy it.
The notebook.
No, you can't have it. Not for soldiers, do you hear me? Not for soldiers.
As you wish, Doctor. I told you, I am not a violent man. Good night. Cadoc.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Go in there. She has a notebook in her hand. Bring it to me quickly.
Yes, Your Excellency.
What a pity. The good doctor. She has committed suicide.
Company! Halt! Ready? Orders of the day. Company A, D, F, and G report to medical officer at once. Company J, M, Q report to medical officer at 12 o'clock. Reserve officers orders report to medical officer within 3
Your regiments, General, they do not quite know what is happening to them,
It does not matter, Your Excellency. They obey orders.
Come, let us go into your office.
As you say.
Now then we can speak most comfortably. How many men have been treated?
50. Picked ones.
You are satisfied with the results?
It was beyond belief.
And so you will join me?
Anything you say. When does it happen?
He gives one of his infernal orations next week in the old hall. With you and the others to help me, I assure you his old womanish ravings will end right there.
You speak of others.
You doubt they will join me?
Oh, no. All men will follow you.
Naturally.
To think that you should have made such a discovery.
I sometimes surprise myself.
And you alone know the formula?
Yes. That is why I am so sure of you and the others. It will be most pleasant to know the delights of youth forever, my friend.
Have you taken the injection yet?
No, I decided to wait until the results of our test cases were quite complete. 50 human guinea pigs. Now that I am certain of the success, yes, I will do it. At once.
Eh?
My injection here. Have it all ready. Hypodermic filled? Very well filled. How interesting it looks in its case, General. My immortality.
Yes.
You would like your youth again now, too?
I am not ready.
There is nothing to fear. You see? I pinch the skin in my arm. The needle bites for a moment. So, it is done.
Do you feel pain?
Huh? Pain? No. No. Only a strange warmth in my veins. I feel my blood seems to run swiftly.
Your face.
What is it?
Your face. It is changing.
Yes, I feel it. I'm young. A young man again. I told you, young.
Gentlemen, you will pardon me.
How dare you? Get out.
No. Let him come in. Nothing disturbs a young man. Nothing. Well, what is it you want? Well, how thoughtful of you to bring me such a beautiful young woman.
Yeah, it is about her that I have come, Your Excellency. About her and the mayor.
The mayor?
Yeah, he is waiting outside.
But who are you? Oh, yes, I remember you.
Yeah.
You are from the village where... this woman. The first to be rejuvenated.
Yeah, Your Excellency, Adelina. The very first. The villagers, they sent me to ask you. You will help her and the mayor, won't you, Your Excellency?
Help? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Look at her, the picture of youth. She was dying of old age, but look at her now, young, beautiful.
Yeah, Your Excellency. It's so sad. Young, as you say, beautiful. But the devil's brew Dr. Miller put into her veins. Listen to what it has done to her.
What?
Speak, Adelina, speak.
No.
Yeah.
No, I won't.
Stop
no.
it. Make her stop.
No.
I order you, make her stop it.
Yeah, quiet, Adelina, quiet, my friend.
Tell me, you. Tell me, what's wrong with the woman?
I tell you, the devil's brew, the stuff that makes her young.
Speak, I command you, speak.
1,000 pardons, Excellency, I'm trying to. It made her young. It made her body young. But day after day, her mind, it has kept on growing younger.
No, you lie. Not the injection. It was something else that did it.
No, I tell the truth. The mayor, it did the same thing to the mayor. The injection...
No, it can't be the injection, no. General, why do you look at me?
You took an injection. A large one.
Get out! Out, all of you! Out! You can't frighten me! Get out! Out! Get out, you lie! It was not the injection. It was something else. I'm all right. My mind is strong. Out! Out! Yes, it was lies. It cannot be the injection. No. Some strange disease. Yes. I'm all right. I must be all right. Yes, I'm strong. My mind is strong. I'm young. I'm not a violent man. No. I am young. My mind is strong. How can the mind grow young and the body stay old? It cannot be.
My voice. My head. It spins. Younger. What was I saying? Younger. The room spinning. Where am I? My voice. Strange. These clothes. Soldier clothes.
I am a soldier. I am a soldier. I am a soldier. I am a soldier. My head. My head. Mother. My head. Where am I? I want my mother. My head. It hurts. Mother. 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 Mother.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's play, Nobody Died, was especially written for radio by Arch Obler. The cast included Jay Neville, Verna Felton, Lorene Tuttle, Elliot Lewis, and James Eagles. Mr. Peter Lorre, due to an urgent motion picture studio call, was unable to be here tonight. Next week, a new play, These Are Your Brothers, a story about a most unusual Santa Claus in a most unusual time. The players, Helen Mock, Elliot Lewis, and Dennis Green. Arch Obler's Plays. A Story in the Night. Arch Obler's Plays are presentations of the National Broadcasting Company. Tonight's play came to you from Hollywood's Radio City. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Unsolved Mysteries. Out of deference to people who may still be living, character names in some of these unsolved mysteries have been changed. No piece of fiction is more intriguing than a story dealing with the activities of a brilliant spy. But truth is more daring, more astounding, much more intriguing in tonight's true unsolved mystery dealing with the disappearance of Captain Gerald Neville, holder of the Military Cross and Britain's master spy. The scene is one of London's most fashionable hotels. Tourists, visitors, some arriving, some leaving, pass in a constant stream through the open door. Outside, the traffic roars by in a never-ending stream. The world and his wife are about their business with never a thought that war looms perilously close. But on the second floor of the hotel, Britain's master spy glances rapidly up and down the passageway. The coast is clear as he thinks, and he steps quickly forward to room number 23, raises his hand and gives a secret signal. He opens the door swiftly and steps inside.
Oh, on time, Captain Neville.
Yes. You are Mr. Churchill's secretary?
Yes. Can you leave for Paris immediately?
If need be, yes. But I have a luncheon appointment with my wife.
Well, she can go to Paris with you. So much the better. It will allay any suspicion.
What's the assignment? Russia?
Yes. I can tell you that much. But you'll get your final instructions from Drebkov in Paris.
There are a lot of things I would rather do than go to Russia.
Oh, but this is different.
What do you mean, different?
Well, this time you're going to Russia at the request and with the assistance of the Russian government.
That sounds better.
You've never met Drebkov, have you?
No, I never have.
Well, he'll hand you your final instructions in Paris. He's conferring right now with the Foreign Secretary. This time, instead of hiding in the sewers by day and crawling the blood-soaked streets of Odessa by night, you're going to be the honored guest of the country.
The honored guest of the country. Had Gerald Neville heeded the small voice of intuition, things might have been different. But the next night found Britain's master spy and his wife seated in their hotel room in Paris, speaking to Drebkov.
You remember once when you were hunted day and night? No place was safe and escape seemed impossible? The Alexander who used to work in Mole's saloon came to you and smuggled you aboard a motorboat and so to safety.
Yes.
How think you that Alexander could find escape for Britain's master spy who could not find it for himself?
Well, I certainly thank you. That was the closest I ever came to being caught.
Gerald.
Yes, dear.
That man is still watching. Look, there he is, standing in that doorway.
He is probably one of my men. I have had you guarded ever since you left London.
You have two of them watching?
No. Quickly, let me see.
Just at the corner there. He has been there since dusk.
Spies on our trail, eh? I will signal my men. Pull down the blind, quick. Now, put out the light. Put up the blind again. Now I signal with my flashlight. Watch closely.
I don't see anything. Oh, now I do. Quick flash of light.
Look, you see two gentlemen come down the street arm in arm?
And the man at the doorway is moving to meet them.
The other man's going to run away.
But he will not run far.
They killed him.
But yes, that is what happens to spies when they are caught.
But it's cold-blooded murder.
Calm yourself, my dear.
No, murder is not the word. Execution, that is the word.
It's horrible.
It is necessary.
But the police, aren't you afraid the police will trace
The
this?
police? What will the police find? A dead man without identification. It will be but one more chapter added to the mysteries of Paris. But come, we have more pleasant things to talk of. You are doubtless wondering, Captain Neville, why it is that we of Russia desire you to go there.
Yes, naturally, it is a bit puzzling.
I cannot go into details, but it seems that some of our comrades have not been faithful to the people. We have not been able to find out who they are.
And you wish me to go to Russia to track them down?
That is only a small part of what you are to do. We are prepared to pay you a large sum of money for your assistance. Instead of, as before, being hunted like an animal, you will live in well-appointed quarters here.
Yes, pardon me a second. Hello? Oh, London caller, yes. Yes, put them on the wire. Oh, hello? Yes, this is Captain Neville. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I can, sir. Oh, of course, it makes all the difference in the world. Very clever, I'd say, sir. Certainly, sir. Good night, sir.
It is very late, and I have much work to do. What do you say to our proposal?
I accept.
What was said in that mysterious phone call we shall never know. But obviously Captain Neville believed that the British government had worked for him in Russia, and that the government had encouraged him to accept Drebkov's proposition. Neville left Paris with Drebkov, and after a few weeks of waiting in vain for a letter, Mrs. Neville visits a high British official.
What makes you think that we should know anything of Captain Neville?
Well, I know he went...
Yes, Mrs. Neville?
You know I can't say that. He was a secret agent. His mission was confidential. But he received a telephone call.
No one in this department telephoned?
The night we were in Paris, I was there when he answered the phone.
I'm sorry, Mr. Neville. No such telephone call is recorded from London to Paris by this department.
But he's my husband. You don't expect me to sit idly by and not make any effort to find him.
No, Mrs. Neville. We don't expect you to sit idly by.
You won't help me?
Officially, we can do nothing. But unofficially, I will do everything I can to find your husband.
But all the searching, letter-writing, inquiring availed nothing. Gerald Neville had disappeared. No one could be found who had seen him get off the train. No one who had seen him enter Russia. No one who had seen him at all. Gerald Neville had disappeared. He was as if he had never been. In just a moment, you will hear a solution to the mystery of Gerald Neville.
You're listening to When Radio Was. We'll be right back. And now back to Unsolved Mystery on When Radio Was.
Ladies and gentlemen, inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and character have been taken in the solution for which you have been waiting. The scene is the Montmartre district of Paris. Far back from busy streets, lost in the squalor and gloom of Paris, stands an old house. Its shuttered windows like sightless eyes belying the activity in one of its sordid rooms. 4 men and a woman stand bending over a table, examining papers and photographs in the light of a guttering candle stuck in the neck of an empty bottle.
Here are 4 pictures of the real Drebkov. Look at them and tell me, will I not pass for Drebkov? You, Sonia, you know him best of all. Tell me.
You will pass even to the voice. And remember, Neville has never met Drebkov. But the story I have told you about Alexander helping Neville to escape in the motorboat will convince him that you are the real Drebkov.
And now here are 3 pictures of Winston Churchill's secretary. Look at them carefully and tell me, will Kornilov pass for him?
I would say they are the same man. I watched Churchill's secretary for weeks. I have taught Kornilov all his little mannerisms. He cannot fail.
I will not fail, comrades.
Neville is to have lunch with his wife. I found that out by listening to the telephone. And not for nothing have I been washing dishes and playing the housemaid in his home. But enough. You go, Kornilov, to the hotel at 5 minutes of 12. Neville will come to you at 12 o'clock.
Now, one more thing. The telephone call to Paris. It must be at the exact moment. We will compare our watches, and at 4 minutes after 10, you will call Neville. I shall be talking with him, and you must imply in your talk that the British government wishes Neville to accept my proposal. You pretend that you are Winston Churchill, but you must not speak that name.
I understand.
Then our plans are ready. You, Sonia, send word to the comrades at Petrograd that at last we are to be avenged on Britain's master spy.
The scene changes to the Russian border. Drebkov's plans have succeeded, and one night, a black, inky night, finds the false Drebkov leading Neville to his doom. The 2 men lying flat on the ground recover their breath after the sharp dash across the open strip of frontier. The false Drebkov whispers to Neville.
Remember what I told you. The whole frontier is charged with electricity. There is only one place we can get through.
I don't see the necessity for all this secrecy.
Your entrance into Russia must be known only to a few. If the man we wish to trap were to learn that you are in Russia, all our precautions would be in vain.
Oh, I suppose so, but still I don't like it.
You are not afraid?
No, I'm not afraid. There's no sense in being foolhardy.
It is almost time. Our friends will be waiting. I know the way, so I will go first. When I reach the opening, where it is safe to pass through the wire, I will flash my flashlight 3 times. Goodbye.
I will get in about 2 minutes. Oh, do I see a light? No, I guess I was mistaken. By Jove, my nerves are bad. Ah, there goes the flashlight.
So comes to an end the life of one of the greatest spies of all times. That Captain Neville was trapped is borne out by the facsimile of a letter which we quote. The date is the 22nd of December, 1927. It is addressed to Mrs. Neville. Dear Madam, Mr. Churchill desires me to acknowledge the receipt of your letter of the 13th of December and to say that it appears to have been written under a complete misapprehension. Your husband did not go into Russia at the request of any British official, but he went there on his own private affairs. Mr. Churchill much regrets that he is unable to help you in regard to this matter because, according to the latest reports which have been made public, Mr. Neville met his death in Moscow after his arrest there. The letter is signed by Mr. Winston Churchill's secretary. The letter demonstrates clearly that Mr. Churchill knows nothing of the plot because the report of Neville's death to which he refers was a fictitious report placed in the London newspapers by Mrs. Neville herself in order to tempt the Czech guy into a denial and a statement as to what had actually happened to Britain's master spy.
The Whistler. And now the Whistler's strange story. Hired Alibi.
The dry desert heat that enveloped the highway seemed to add to the pressure and anguish tormenting the lone man in the swiftly moving automobile. Paul Burns' hurried trip to Los Angeles had proved useless. There wasn't a chance of escape for him now. And he was forced to drive back and face his wife, Edith, tell her that he had failed. If only there was a way out, someone he could turn to talk it all over and perhaps somehow find a way. Hey, I'm over there. Huh? Oh!
Thanks, friend.
Almost didn't see you.
Out here?
I got things on my mind.
That's probable.
When you're driving with the sun in your face, it's sometimes hard to see anything but the white ribbon in the road.
How far are you going?
Flagstaff. Then 50 miles north.
I'll get out of Flagstaff.
All right. A little warm for this time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, the weather's warm. As for what happened in the election, I'll agree with you. That's how I pay for my ride.
Am I talking? No. It isn't necessary. I just...
Go on. Pick a subject. Only keep it down to my level.
Since you seem to limit yourself, perhaps you should decide.
Okay. Women, sports, towns, automobiles.
All right. Automobiles will do. Yes, Paul. It's good to have someone to talk to. Only your interest is not in the relative performance of various automobiles, but in this young man himself. He's rough and hard, but oddly handsome. And as you drive along, you begin to speculate about him. Wonder vaguely if you haven't seen him somewhere before. And suddenly it comes to you, Paul, and you tense with excitement. If it's true, it can change a lot of things, can't it? Yes. But you've got to be sure.
Something wrong?
No, I just noticed I'm out of cigarettes. I thought I'd pull in at that cafe up ahead.
Oh, sure.
Would you mind running in for me?
Hey, look, you sure you're not just tired of my company, maybe?
Of course not. Here, get a pack for yourself.
Thanks. Thanks, I'll do that.
You wait nervously, Paul, until he disappears into the little roadside cafe. Then immediately you turn around and pick up the newspaper on the back seat. His picture stares up at you from a newspaper dated early in the week. Norbella. He's Joe Norbella. Yes, Paul. Your hitchhiking friend is Joe Norbella, a fugitive. wanted by the Los Angeles police for killing a theater manager during a holdup. You hide the paper in the back and force yourself to relax as Joe comes back and climbs into the car.
There you are.
Oh, thanks.
Here's the change. Lights?
Sure. Thanks.
Okay.
What do you do for a living, son?
Odd job. I keep on the move.
You said you were going east. Any particular spot?
No particular spot.
I bet you wouldn't like where I live.
Okay, I'll play. Why?
I'm Paul Burns, general manager of the Silver Canyon Mine.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
No. Just my way of explaining why we're tucked away up in the hills. You wouldn't like that, would you?
Wouldn't I?
You're a young man. You'd probably find it very dull.
Probably.
Well, the population of the town nearby is about 600. Called Silver, but we refer to it as Hermit's Heaven.
That's nice.
We're so far off the main highway, we have hardly any contact with the outside world.
I've heard of worse places.
You, wouldn't be interested in going to work for me. Pays very good.
Yeah?
I'll even throw in living quarters.
You would, huh?
Yeah. You'd be sort of an all-around handyman. Difficult getting young fellas to work in an out-of-the-way place like a silver mine.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I don't blame them. Working up there is next to disappearing. But it's $75 a week to start with.
75, huh?
What do you say? What is your name, by the way?
Joe. Joe Webster.
Well, Joe, how about it?
All right. You got a deal, Mr. Burns. When do I start?
As soon as we get there. And, Joe.
Yeah?
I think this is going to work out fine for both of us. Just fine. It was a strange meeting, wasn't it, Paul? Two men brought together on a lonely Arizona highway. You and Joe Norbella. Joe, a fugitive who tells you that his name is Joe Webster, and that he'll be happy to take a job at the mine you operate. It all fits together, doesn't it, Paul? Making a pattern of escape for you. A simple but clever one. And all you have to do is be careful. Not let Joe become suspicious. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning when you turn off the highway. Wave to the guard as you drive through the gates of the mine property and up to the house. Joe seems more relaxed now, doesn't he? But you know that you must be patient, go easy. And you try to be casual as you lead him into the house and back through the hall to the guest room. I hope you'll find this comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, looks fine.
We'll talk about your job in the morning. It's late. I don't want to wake the family.
Sure.
Well, good night, Joe. Just make yourself at home. Edith, wake up.
What? Oh, you're back, Paul.
Yes.
Did you get the money?
No, John didn't have it.
Fine, brother.
He didn't have it, that's all. Don't worry.
Don't worry. How can I help it? Went through the books again tonight. There isn't any way to cover the shortage. You've used $14,000 of the company's money.
Maybe so, Edith, but we're not beaten yet. Is Ruthie home?
Yeah, she's asleep.
nothing on her mind.
And she's not going to have either. I won't have her involved in this. Let me handle it my way.
Like the way you handled the $14,000 making those surefire investments?
Well, you thought it was a great idea while I was doing it. Go wake Ruth and tell her to come in. There's something I want to discuss with both of you. Something important.
All right, Paul. I hope you know what you're doing. Oh, Dad, what's on your mind?
I'm sorry to wake you, Ruth.
It's all right. Something happened?
No, honey. You have a nice time while I was gone?
Oh, nothing unusual. Went bowling with Eddie, saw a couple of movies. Same old thing, you know. Paul, what did you want to tell us?
Oh, yes. Well, I wanted you to know tonight so there wouldn't be a lot of questions in front of Joe when you meet him in the morning.
Joe? Who's Joe?
Joe Webster. A very nice young man, Edith. He's going to work for me in the office.
Oh, I see.
He's going to live with us here in the house. In fact, he's up in the guest room right now.
Paul, here in the house, why would you have
It's very simple, Edith. I need help in the office. You know how difficult it is to get a good man to come all the way out here.
Yes, but don't you think...
All I ask of you is to make him feel at home. Be nice to him. And don't ask too many questions.
Questions? What do you mean?
It's just that, well, there's been a little unhappiness in Joe's life. I'm sure he'd rather forget about it.
Oh, okay, Dad. Whatever you say, if he's that important to you.
He is, Ruth. Very important. For the first time in months, you sleep peacefully that night, knowing that everything is going to turn out all right after all. And the next morning at breakfast, you're completely satisfied with the warm, friendly welcome Edith and Ruth give Joe. That's important, isn't it, Paul? Yes. Joe Webster must be happy here. He mustn't become restless and want to leave. Not until you're ready to put your plan into operation. And then after breakfast, you lead Joe down the path to the office. You think you're going to like it here, Joe?
Yeah, I like it. So far, no complaints. Maybe I'm wrong, but I sort of get the idea I'm supposed to go on living with you at the house. Is that right?
Of course. I want you to feel right at home, Joe.
Oh, it won't be hard. You got a nice family. Only one thing bothers me.
What's that?
You.
What?
Now, look, you don't know me. You pick me up off the highway, you give me a job. Next thing, I move right in like I'm one of the family. Why?
Well,
Now, don't tell me that you've always wanted a son. I couldn't take that.
No, I'm not going to tell you. It's just that it's hard to get a young man to stay in an out-of-the-way place like this.
Yeah, but why put me up in your own home?
Just one more inducement. Hard to find good boarding places around here. Besides, it's convenient for me. I won't have to go looking for you if I want you after hours. Now, here we are. What have you got to lose by staying here, Joe?
Nothing, I guess. Nothing at all.
That desk over there will be yours, Joe.
You want me to sit behind a desk?
What's wrong with that?
Look, put me on an engine and give me a pick and shovel.
But, Joe, I need you here in the office. The work isn't hard. Typing records, time cards, payrolls.
I'm a little better with a bulldozer than a Remington.
You'll learn. Anybody can do this work. It won't be too difficult, believe me.
I still don't get it.
Don't back down on me now. I need you here in the office. To be perfectly frank, I've been counting on it.
You have? Well, that's the way you want it, okay, but you may be sorry.
I don't think so, Joe. I don't think so at all. And so another step in your plan has been successfully completed, hasn't it, Paul? Joe Webster has been installed in the company office. And now it's only a matter of time, a matter of waiting, a month or so, until you're ready to make the final move. But as the days go by, you notice with dismay that Joe is becoming restless, impatient with his new job. And you wonder perhaps if you're not going to be forced to bring things to a head quicker than you'd anticipated. You go out of your way to make everything pleasant as possible for him. urging Ruth and Edith on, insisting that they keep him entertained. And then one afternoon at the end of the second week, as you return from an inspection tour of the mine, you step into the office. Joe! Joe! Panic suddenly sweeps over you. As you hurry across the office to the storeroom, you're certain now that the one thing you feared most has happened. Joe! Joe!
Pine Gate, Frank Nelson speaking.
Johnny, have you seen Joe Webster?
Webster? Yeah, Mr. Burns. He came through here a couple hours ago. One of the boys gave him a ride into town.
Into town? Well, what for, do you know?
Well, beats me, Mr. Burns. Oh, he did ask me about the bus schedule, the Flagstaff. Maybe
The bus? I see. All right, thanks. Slowly you cross the room and slump down into your chair behind the desk. He's gone. Joe Webster is gone, and he won't be back. You're certain of that, aren't you, Paul? He's walked out on you, and your plan has collapsed. You stare at the date on your calendar, a date circled in red, little less than a month away. Only a miracle can save you now. You lean back in your chair and stare out the window. Watch the distant hills turn from gold to purple, and then fade from sight as darkness sweeps in over the desert. Then, wearily, you walk back up the path to the house.
Oh, Dad, I was just going to call you. Dinner will be ready in a... Oh, where's Joe?
He's gone, Ruthie.
Gone?
This afternoon.
Oh, but... Why? Did he say...
He left without a word.
Oh, I see. Well, that's that. Dinner will be ready in a few minutes.
All right, Ruthie. All right.
Paul.
Hmm?
Why don't you eat your dinner?
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Nonsense. Now, you eat your dinner. Joe walked out on you, he's walked out, that's all. Brooding about it won't bring him back.
It's not that. I'm just not hungry.
Dad,
Yes.
did Joe mean so much to you that leaving upset you so that you can't even eat?
Oh, no, of course not. I'm just tired, that's all.
Really? Dad,
Oh, what was that?
The front door. Somebody just...
Joe!
Sorry to be late.
Joe, I thought you'd left us.
Well, things were kind of quiet around the office this afternoon. I didn't think you'd mind if I went into town. Had to buy a couple of things.
Oh? Oh, of course.
Yeah, I figured as long as I was going to be a white-collar worker, I ought to look the part.
Joe, you haven't had your dinner?
No, I haven't. I expected to get back earlier, but I had a little trouble picking up a ride.
Well, sit down, Joe. I'll get you a plate.
So you thought I'd walked out, huh?
Yes. The guard at the main gate told me you'd asked about the bus schedules, and I thought you'd walked out on me.
You want to know something?
Huh?
I was walking out on you, but I changed my mind before I got to the bus depot. I figured it'd be a lot smarter move for me if I stayed.
Good. I'm glad you changed your mind. You have no idea how glad I really am, Joe.
You're certain you know why Joe Webster changed his mind, aren't you, Paul? Because he realized he'd be better off here, hiding out at the Silver Canyon mine, rather than risk capture on the open highway traveling from town to town. Yes, you're greatly relieved now that he's back, but you're not going to take any more chances. You're going to move swiftly before Joe has the opportunity to change his mind again. That night after dinner, as the four of you are drinking your coffee, you decide to waste no time in setting up your next move. But that means working with Edith alone, and somehow you've got to get rid of Joe and your daughter Ruth for a few hours.
Look, why don't you youngsters drive into town? See a show or something, huh?
I'd love to, but Or maybe Joe doesn't feel
No,
like
it sounds okay to me. I could stand a movie.
Oh, swell.
You might show Joe around town, Ruthie. It's not much of a place, Joe, but, well...
Not the place. It's who you're with. Ready, Ruth?
I'll get my coat. Why don't you bring the car around?
Be careful driving, Joe. Ruth is my pride and joy. She's all we have.
Okay.
Have a nice time.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
What are you up to, Paul?
As soon as they've gone, I'll run down to the office and get the books, Edith. We've a lot of work to do.
Wish I knew what you had on your mind.
You will, my dear.
But the auditors will be here in a month. Less than that. I've tried not to worry.
Listen to me, Edith. It's all going to work out. We'll be in the clear. All we have to do is fix the books.
But how?
We'll arrange the books so that the money that's missing will be listed as cash on hand.
Oh, what good will that do? When the auditors go to the safe, they won't find the money. Then what?
Don't worry. I'll be able to account for it. Every penny of it.
2 days later, you decide the moment has arrived at last. You can't delay another minute. Yes, everything is quite in order now, isn't it, Paul? Throughout the day, you fight to remain calm, unconcerned. And that evening, as you retire to your room upstairs, you don't sleep. You listen to the clock tick away the minutes. Your eyes are wide open. The hours drag on. And then shortly before 2 a.m, you slip out of bed and dress quickly. Moments later, you hurry to Joe's room.
Joe. Joe!
Huh? What do you want?
Joe, keep your voice down. Listen to me.
What's the matter?
The sheriff was here looking for you.
Sheriff? What did he say?
Nothing much, except that your name wasn't really Joe Webster.
Yeah, well, look, I
No, I don't want to know any more about it. I don't care what you've done, Joe. Right now, you've got to get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
I told the sheriff you were probably hanging around town. You have to hurry because he'll probably be coming back.
I don't figure you at all.
Don't bridle. Here, the key to my car. You can park it at the water stop north of town. There'll be plenty of freight trains.
Thanks.
And take this, Joe. $200. You'll need every cent of it.
I don't know why you're doing this, but thanks anyway.
Just call it a bonus, Joe. I'll go back to the office now in case the sheriff comes back.
No, wait a minute. How am I going to get past that guard at the gate in your car? You might have been tipped off.
Don't worry, son. I'll take care of it. You'll get through. Now, hurry.
You leave him to finish dressing, slip out of the house, and hurry to the office. He fell for your act without any hesitation, didn't he, Paul? Exactly as you'd planned. And once he's out of the gate and on his way, your worries will be over. As you wait in the darkened office, you begin to wonder why Joe is taking so long. And then finally you hear the car start up behind the house. A minute or so later, it races past the office. You wait another half minute and then pick up the phone and call the guard at the gate.
Main gate, Carter speaking. Hello? Main gate. Hello?
Quickly, you move across the office to the window. Hold your breath as you peer out into the darkness. Then you see them, the headlights on the highway. Your timing was perfect, wasn't it, Paul? Drawing the guard away from the gate to answer the phone made it possible for Joe to speed through without being stopped or questioned. Now there's only one thing left to do. You step to the telephone.
Sheriff's office, McHale speaking.
Sheriff, this is Paul Burns at the Silver Canyon Mine.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Mr. Burns?
There's been a robbery here. The safe's been cleaned out. Over $14,000.
What?
My car is gone, too. I guess that's what woke me up. I heard it start up.
Well, any idea who?
Yes. I'm afraid it's a young man I had working here in the office. Joe Webster. He's gone.
All right, Mr. Burns. Let me have the license number of your car. And don't worry. He won't get far.
You're quite pleased with yourself, aren't you? As you sit in the mine office waiting for the news of Joe Webster's capture. News that will spell out your final victory. Then you can wake Edith. Tell her the shortage in the books has been covered, and you're certain she won't blame you. For Joe Webster, alias Joe Norbella, is wanted for murder anyway. And one more crime won't make much difference. It's true they'll never find the missing money. But as far as the company is concerned, it'll be accounted for. Then shortly before dawn, a car grinds to a stop in front of the office. And a moment later, the sheriff enters.
Morning, Mr. Burns.
Morning. Did you get him, Sheriff?
Yep. Picked him up about an hour after you called.
You have no idea what a shock this is to me. I never dreamed he'd do such a thing.
Well, this may be another shock.
Huh?
He only had $200 on him.
$200? But there's more than 14,000.
Maybe he hid the rest somewhere. Don't worry. If he did, we'll find it.
I hope so.
Might interest you to know Joe Webster's wanted by the L.A. police on a murder charge.
Murder?
Mm-hmm. His real name's Norbella. Pretty smart operator, so they tell me. Yeah. He was a fool to try this, even with an accomplice.
Accomplice?
Yeah, we had to book both of them.
But Joe didn't have any...
Norbella claims he was framed. Says you gave him the $200.
He's lying.
Well, that's what I figured. Too bad, too, because if Norbella was framed, we might save his accomplice.
Why? If they were together, they were guilty.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. Too bad, though.
What do you mean?
Well, this is going to shock you, Mr. Barnes. The accomplice I spoke of is your own daughter, Ruth. Says they were running away to be married.
Ruth? Married?
That's right. I know she's everything in the world to you.
Oh, no, Sheriff. Not Ruthie. She's innocent. I framed Joe Norbella. I gave him the $200. Sit down. I'll tell you the whole story.
The Whistler has been a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Well, a lot of job seekers came up through the cracks in our floor the other midnight. One argued that he was a writer of the sinister variety, claimed he wrote poetry on tombstones. We put him to work in our burial bureau. And then there was a girl said she specialized in screams. We told her to meet our gang and demonstrate. One look, and our young miss never got her voice up off the floor. We all chipped in to blow the girl to a 20-week course in sign language.
Tonight's Inner Sanctum Mystery, Appointment with Death, was written by John Robert and stars Charlotte Holland in the role of Janet, with Carl Swenson as Richard.
Tonight's story is custom tailored for the timid. We guarantee fit. Manhattan's East River Harbor. Cold gray granite, an architectural eyesore imported from the old world. A high wall and iron fence hide its secrets from the city's teeming millions. Inside the high wall, a woman in black walks slowly toward a man. The man is silhouetted under the moon, bending over a lilac bush.
Richard!
Oh, I'm sorry I startled you, ma'am. I am trespassing, I know, but I couldn't resist your garden. I'll go.
No, wait. You are not Richard.
You're staring as if you don't see.
My eyes are old. Turn your face to the moon so I can see you.
All right.
I've forgotten. So many faces have been Richard's. So many, many faces everywhere.
Everywhere? What does your Richard do when he isn't roaming about?
He sleeps. Right where you stand, there is a grave. And in it, Richard sleeps. How did you get in here?
I walked in through that open gate. The rear of the garden.
The Florentine gate, you found it unlocked.
Yes. You're trembling. Is something wrong?
The open gate means the last Lowell is about to die. I am the last Lowell. I am about to die. There were 5 of us. My brother Tom, my sister Melanie, and me. We lived silently and sullenly in this house, which Father had bought in Italy, and then had shipped, stone by stone, to be restored here. It was as if a dark plague hidden in the ancient granite had infected us all. As if we were born to destroy each other. Mother was first. She roamed the great halls in hide. We never knew where she slept or how she managed food. All we knew of her was a laugh. It was the only way she spoke to us. One day she just disappeared, never to be heard or seen again. Father was next. He was sick and grew worse, but refused to allow a doctor to enter the house. On his last night, we were gathered around his bedside, Tom, Melanie, and me. Water. Melanie brought a tumbler of water, but Tom struck it from her hand.
No tenderness, Melanie. It doesn't become you.
He's calling for water.
You'll get all the water he wants soon. His casket will be brimming over.
Father passed on during the night. A shrunken figure, just skin and bone. We buried him in a simple, mocking ceremony during a rainstorm.
You see, my sisters, it rains water for Father.
Father was gone, but he lived on in Tom. With the same dark, brooding obsessions we had known in Father, Melanie and I were there in Tom.
We'll go on roughing away exactly as we have. Nothing's changed.
Tom, we don't have to go on like this.
Don't we, Melanie?
No, with Father's death, we're free.
And this new freedom, Melanie, what would you do with it? I asked, what would you do with it?
Just live, Tom.
I see. And you, Janet? Are you full of new purpose?
We have a right to womanhood, Tom.
Nice word, womanhood. I give you another word, manhood. I turned the word over in my mind 1,000 times before I gave it up. Womanhood. Give it up. It's an impossible word. Your whole life's against it.
An impossible word, womanhood. I tried to forget my whole life was against its realization. When Richard came. I met Richard here in the garden. I was in mourner's clothes, listening to the foghorns and staring out into the river one night.
Hello? Oh, did I frighten you?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm Richard Dunn. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, you're here to read Father's will?
Yes, but that isn't until 10 o'clock. Shall we stroll a bit?
You mean pace from wall to wall?
Well, a drive then, if the garden's too confining. We can leave through that rear gate.
The Florentine gate, no.
What, did I say something wrong?
This gate must never be unlocked.
Hey!
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you kind of in In the dumps over your father's death, huh?
Richard. He had come into my life like a gust of clean wind.
Shut away here in a granite tomb like a dead woman. Come alive, Janet.
How, Richard, how?
Just get up and leave. There's nothing here to hold you.
But there is.
What?
Well, father, mother, the past.
That's imaginary rot. You've all cast a spell over yourselves. Why, forget the past. Think of the future.
Can there be a future for me?
Give me half a chance and I'll show you.
Show me, Richard. Show me. But Richard never got that half a chance. My life was against it, and my fears, and Tom, my brother. One night, Tom saw to it that Richard or I would never get that half a chance. I was asleep in the grip of an old nightmare, an old fear that haunts my sleep. In my dream, there was a knife, a cold, cruel steel blade, moving across my face, mocking me, and I screamed. I awoke with my face aflame, and Tom standing over me in the pale morning light.
You have no beauty anymore, Janet.
No beauty? Oh, Tom, I dreamed of a knife branding me.
An old dream with you, Janet.
Tom, my face.
The scar will heal, and you'll wear a black veil. No one will look upon your face.
The scar healed. I wore a black veil, and no one looked upon my face. I hid as my mother hid. I hid and spied and eavesdropped. I hid from Richard, too. In time, Richard stopped asking about me as his infatuation for Melanie grew. I eavesdropped on 100 intimate talks they had, Melanie and Richard. But I remember one. They were in the music room.
Melanie, come away with me.
You're just speaking to Janet through me.
No, I've forgotten Janet. She disappeared. She's gone. It's you that I want.
Why, Richard? Why do you want Janet or me?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel compelled, as if somehow I was fated to come here. I feel that I must pull one of you from this contamination. Melanie, say yes.
Well, at least I need time to think.
But I'm going away.
Well, when you come back, if you come back.
I'll come back. You write to me?
Yes. Yes, Richard, I will write to you.
Melanie and Richard. I had lost him. And I was lost. I had lost him, but Melanie would too. Melanie must lose him too. I stole Melanie's letters to Richard before the postman could pick them up. Finally, I intercepted a letter from Richard to Melanie, steamed the envelope open, and substituted a typewritten letter I had written. And then I watched Melanie tear the envelope open. It's a letter at last from Richard. I watched her read it eagerly, then silently. I could hear the words I'd put into Richard's mouth whisper in my brain.
Melanie, if you can ever forgive me. But here, out in the world, it's as if I'd never known you. I see men at play and I hear women laugh, and I remember that these are the things that are really me. If you can ever forgive me.
Oh, no. Bad news, Melanie. What? Bad news. Oh, no, it's good news. The best for Richard. He's escaped. He almost became one of us, but he escaped. Melanie. It's a wonderful world he's escaped into. A world of laughing women. Laughing women, Janet. When did you laugh last? Laughter isn't for us. Nor marriage, Melanie. Nor escape? Nor escape. Oh, but you're wrong, Janet.
There is escape for both of us. Your escape is the Florentine gate. The gate opens and you escape now.
Melanie, stop. Your heart cannot stand the strain.
Oh, but that's my escape. My heart. My poor, wonderful, unpredictable heart. We worried about it as children, you remember? You used to put your hand on it and count. Well, Janet, put your hand on it. Now.
Melanie,
now.
You're deliberately provoking an attack.
Put your hand on my heart, Janet. Just one last time.
Melanie, now stop it, please.
The storm in my heart dies and the lights go out. Goodbye, Janet.
Melanie! She had fallen, as if she had willed her own death.
Poor Melanie. It was all too much for her.
Tom, she dropped dead right before me. Melanie dropped dead.
If you feel more comfortable thinking of it that way.
What do you mean?
That Melanie's collapse was a bow to your talent for writing letters. Or to put it crudely, that you murdered her.
I lived on with an hourly wish for death, wishing Melanie's escape for me, too. But death was to come to me last. First, Richard was to come back, re-enter our lives, as if the touch of us had contaminated him. I was in the garden here, lost in the foghorns and the noises of the river.
Hello, Janet.
Richard.
I've come back. To you, Janet.
To me? No, Richard, not to
Yes, to you. I've come to know that it's always been you. And only you.
But you gave your pledge to Melanie. I heard you.
That was only compassion. It wasn't love. It's not the feeling that I have for you.
No, Richard, you mustn't.
No, you can't hide from me anymore, Janet. You can't veil your face or your heart.
If I were to raise my veil, if you were to see my face.
See your face?
Yes, Richard. Look. What do you see?
A mark running the length of your cheek to your eye.
A brand, Richard.
But how? Tom?
Never mind how or who. Your love cools.
Oh, does it? Did you really think that beauty was just something outside? Come. We'll tell Melanie about us.
Tell Melanie. Telling Melanie is something to do.
Well, why can't we tell Melanie? Openly and honestly.
For a simple reason, Richard. Melanie's dead. Richard wanted me, only me. And I wanted him, if only for a moment. It was an impossible wish, but I turned my thinking aside. I packed to elope.
You're forgetting, Janet, that your whole life is against it.
Now, Tom, don't try to stop me. Don't pull me deeper into your insanity.
Third finger, left hand. When he slips the wedding band on, how will you keep him from seeing the blood?
Tom, please.
And the uninvited witness standing between you. How will you stare Melanie down when you say, I do?
Now, Tom, stop. Stop playing on my feet.
And how will Richard take the dowry you bring him, Janet? A dowry of murder, blood, and guilt?
Tom went straight to Richard. And it was another Richard who came to me. His face was grim, the gentleness gone. His eyes were bright and hard.
Change your dress, Janet.
Change it, Richard?
Yes. You will be married in the blackest black. We have an obligation to the dead.
We were married. A macabre ceremony with the principals dressed in mourners' clothes. I couldn't stare Melanie down. The I do caught in my throat. Motoring back, I knew I'd never know that moment of life.
We'll go back to your house, Janet.
No, not my house.
Yes. Only to your house.
Then, Richard, you don't mean to be really married to me.
Could I really be married to you?
You signed my name to a letter that killed Melanie.
Yes, I wrote the letter that broke her heart.
And Melanie will always be there between us, making any happiness impossible. We'll live in your father's house. Dark, malignant, hating, punishing each other.
Marriage was a new nightmare. I watched Richard brood, watched his sensitive mind slowly slip into darkness, and I wished him dead, for his sake and mine.
The ghost of Melanie sits beside me. See her, Janet?
Richard, go away. If there's a shred of reason left, please go away.
Come. Here, sit on the bench with Melanie between us.
I insist that you sit. My arm.
Oh, I clawed your arm. Another brand scars your lovely white flesh.
Richard, you can't stay here anymore. You can't live in this house anymore.
I don't want to, but I must.
He grew worse steadily. I dreamed of escaping him, being rid of him somehow. It was a nightly dream. Every night in my sleep, an old dream mixed with the new. The knife. The same knife that had lived in my nightmares for so many years. But this time the knife was in my hand. This time I was hovering over a victim. This time I was the attacker.
Janet!
You won't torture me anymore.
No, Janet, no!
I won't live with your eyes on me anymore.
No, don't!
I'm dissolving our marriage.
No, Janet, just...
Dawn came in a sick gray haze. I awakened huddled on the floor. Tom was in the room with me. I could feel his presence.
Good morning, Janet.
Oh, Tom, I had a terrible dream.
A dream, Janet?
Oh, in my dream, I was in Richard's room, and I must see Richard.
You mean the remains of Richard?
No.
Yes, Janet. You murdered Richard quite thoroughly.
No, it's a lie. I couldn't do murder.
Is it a lie, Janet?
I don't know. I don't know.
Come. We'll bury Richard in the garden. You used to meet in the garden. Coming, Janet?
No, I can't.
Very well. If I must play solitary gravedigger.
My dream hadn't been a dream, Tom said. I stayed in my room until Tom came back. The stains of digging were on his hands and clothes.
You know, I'm wondering, Janet, since you're averse to burying your victims, who'll bury me?
Will you be my victim, Tom?
Yes. One day when my strength is at its lowest, you'll kill me.
Why must I kill you, Tom? Why?
Because we were born to destroy each other.
The years crept by. Years and ghosts. In time, Tom's strength failed. He took to bed a shrunken figure, like father before him.
It's come, Janet. My turn has come.
Yes, Tom, you're dying.
But that's not the way it's to be. I must die by your hand. You must kill me.
No. You're insanely obsessed, and you've tied me to your insanity. But you can't push me into murdering you.
Janet, kill me, please. If only for hate.
I'm too tired to hate, Tom.
Then if only to settle your score with me. I turned Richard against you. Because of me, you were married in black to a bridegroom of death. Because of me, your honeymoon was a crimson knife. Remember, Janet?
I'm dead to memory. And if I could hate, this is your punishment. This is a payment of my score with you. You'll die by just dying.
Janet, kill me. You must. Janet!
I turned away and never came back. Tom died, but not by my hand. But Tom was right about our dark family destiny.
How was Tom right, Janet?
The Florentine gate is open, you say?
Yes.
Then Tom and Father were right. The gate opened of itself, as they said it would. And now it's my turn to die. Richard sleeps under the lilacs. Soon I'll sleep beside him.
Maybe, Janet. And maybe not.
Did you say maybe not?
What if your dream of murdering Richard were only a dream? What if Richard merely came to his senses and went away that morning long ago?
If? But Tom buried him right where you're standing.
Yes, but what if Tom deceived you into thinking so? What if it were a trick to keep you imprisoned here forever? What if this grave is empty?
Tom deceived me about Richard's death.
Yes, a ruse to make you insane and as hopeless as he was.
I'm more confused.
Janet, look at me again. This time, really open your eyes.
You're not...
Yes, I am Richard. A bit older, but much wiser. Shall we stroll a bit?
That's one way of getting out from under a lilac bush. Tender love story. Dream girl and rover boy. A love so haunting that everyone round it was touched in the head. Though they picked up where they dropped off, bet they make a charming picture walking Earth's last mile together, strolling into eternity one day. Arm in armature, two gay, skittering skeletons, and pressing so close, their two sheets flap as one. Good night, pleasant dreams.
Sanctum was heard in the United States over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, and has been rebroadcast for servicemen and women overseas through the facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and features Ernest Chappell. Quiet, Please for tonight is called Take Me Out to the Graveyard. Which one, I said? Which graveyard? Well, we got a lot of them. The new one, the old one, the Catholic one, the potter's field.
Oh, any one will do, driver. I'm not particular.
You kidding, mister?
No. Just take me out to the graveyard, that's all.
Well, you drive a cab 12, 15 years like I done, you get some funny ones. Drunks that want to take you home with them. Guys that tell you to take them to the Who's It Hotel when you're parked practically in front of it. Dames that want you... Yeah, you get some funny ones, but this is the first time I run into this kind of character. Well, so I'm driving a cab to make a buck, not to argue with people about where they want to go. So I think. Lakeside Cemetery. That's the farthest. I can rack up a couple of bucks, and maybe there'll be somebody out there that want to take a ride back to town. Get in, mister. Nice day, I take.
Yeah, beautiful. I always say this time of the year is the prettiest.
Yeah, so do I.
Good time of the year to die.
Huh?
I said this is a good time of the year to die.
Yeah, for my dough, no time of the year is a good time to die.
You gotta die, though.
Yeah, but it ain't good.
I don't know.
I don't either. I ain't died yet, but I can't get very enthusiastic about it.
That's why I wanted to go to the graveyard.
Why?
To die.
You ain't nuts, are you, mister?
No. What's your name, driver?
Judge Peterson.
My name's Booth.
Pleased to meet you.
B-O-O-T-H.
Yes?
So you can tell people when they ask you.
Tell what people?
Well, you know, policemen, coroners, whoever asks.
I already asked you if you're nuts, didn't I?
Well, I'm not.
Well, then you better take down your sign.
No, I'm perfectly okay, Julius.
Well, something's wrong with you if you talk that way.
No.
Do you hurt? Like in your noggin or something?
I never felt better in my life.
You want to look out. You might really die.
I know it.
How do you know?
Well, that I couldn't tell you, Julius. I just know it, that's all. And I'm not particularly upset about it.
My gracious, I am.
Think nothing of it, Julius.
Now, you stop talking crazy then.
I'm not going to argue with you, Julius.
And don't die.
Julius, you stick to your driving and let me worry about the dying, will you?
You ain't worrying. You're all the time grinning. I can see you in the rearview mirror.
Watch the road.
You ain't afraid of getting killed, are you?
No, I'm not.
I didn't like the way you said that there.
I'm sorry.
How are you going to do this, Mr. Booth?
Die?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Well, what if you don't?
I will.
Hey, listen.
What?
What about me?
Oh, you'll be all right, Julius.
You sure?
Positive.
Well, that's something.
You know, it is a beautiful day.
You changing your mind?
I can't change my mind.
Hey, do you work on the radio or something?
Why?
Oh, I just thought maybe you was one of them fellas that think up these mystery kind of stories. You know, at night and you was practicing on me.
Sorry to disappoint you, Julius.
I don't get it.
You will.
You live here in town?
No.
Stranger, huh?
That's right. A stranger on his last taxi cab ride.
I begin to get an idea about you, stranger.
You are?
I sure am.
What kind of idea are you getting, Julius?
Listen, mister. No suicides in my cab.
I'm not going to commit suicide, Julius.
No, you better not.
But I am going to die.
Listen.
What are you stopping for? This isn't the cemetery.
I know it ain't, but this is as far as you're going.
What do you mean? I hired you to...
Get out.
Now, look, here,
Snakes, get out, Mr. Booth. I ain't riding any loose nuts to any cemetery with suicide on her mind.
I told you I am not going to commit suicide.
I'll say you ain't. Not in my cab, at least. Outside, mister.
You say so. But it's certainly...
And the clock says 40 cents.
Okay. Keep the rest of it. You know, you're not going to make it come out any difference this way. I really wasn't going to die in your cab.
Look out!
out!
Yeah, he was right. Neither one of us saw the gasoline truck that hit him. How do you figure that? He called it, didn't he? Then he was coming out. Why was he right? Well, like I said, pretty nearly anything can happen to a cab driver. Only it hardly ever happens twice. So it's a couple of months later, and I'm bucking the line at the corner of Adams and Fulton, and this girl comes out of the store and walks towards me. She's wearing black stockings. Don't seem like gals wearing black stockings these days. She steps towards the cab, so I reach out the window and unbutton the door, and I say, "Where to, lady?"
Take me out to the graveyard.
What'd you say, lady?
I said the graveyard, the cemetery.
Lady, you kidding me?
Why should I kid you, driver?
What cemetery do you want to go to, lady?
Oh, is there more than one?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you pick one out.
I turn around the seat and look at her. She's just an ordinary looking gal, 26, 27. She had on these black stockings. I look at her a minute. I said, "Lady, listen.
Yes?
Are you sure you want to go to the graveyard?"
Certainly am. Why?
I don't like to go to the graveyard, lady.
You don't?
No, lady.
Well, that's all very interesting. But I want you to go to the graveyard. So will you please pull down your flag and start? Now, please, please.
It never occurred to me for the longest time that she called me Julius. How does she know my name? Hey, how do you figure this one, huh? But I don't like any part of this. One trip to the graveyard started just like this. Look what happened. Well, I figured I'll run out of gas for this thing. And before when I had you don't want to take you don't want to go. I just opened my mouth to say it to her, and she says,
And don't tell me you're out of gas, Julius, because I know better. I can see your gaze.
Lady, I was just going to tell you
The
that...
graveyard, Julius.
What are you going to do with a thing like this here? I don't like any little bitsy part of it. I tried to jump a red light with a cop standing right there looking at me, then it turns green. Yeah, with the black stockings just giggles and laughs. She was the cheerfulest woman I ever seen. She leans over and talks in my ear.
Hurry, Julius.
I wanted to say, "Why, lady?" You know what? I was scared of how she'd answer me. Up Adams to Maine, out Maine to Knoxville, out Knoxville on the way to the graveyard. And after a while, she said something. I was thinking. I said, "What'd you say, lady?"
I said, can't you drive faster?
I thought I was saying, "Lady, they got speed laws in this here town." That wasn't the way it come out. The way it come out was different. I know it come out different because of the way she answered me.
Because I have to get there quickly. Because I've got to drive.
How scared can you get? I missed the street car by about 6 inches. I swallowed my heart back down and drove about half a block before I spoke to her again. I said it very careful. I didn't understand you, lady.
What?
I didn't get you. What you said.
Oh, I said I've got to drive.
I thought that's what you said.
You see, that's why we have to hurry.
You don't want to go to a hospital? Yeah, I'm trying to make myself, what is it, rationalize this thing. I said, you don't want to go to a hospital, huh?
I'm not sick.
Well, so it's about one to die, then.
I didn't say I want to die. I said I have to die.
This wouldn't be a gag, would it? No, it wouldn't be a gag.
Certainly would not.
No, you wouldn't know about this guy.
What are you talking about?
There was a guy a couple of months ago. His name was Mr. Booth.
Well?
He got in my cab, and he wanted to go to the graveyard.
Oh?
And he said he was going to die.
Did he?
You mean, did he say so, or did he die?
Yes.
He done both, lady.
What? You see?
Lady, get out of my cab.
I will not.
You're not going to die in my cab now.
Well, I will if you don't get to the graveyard pretty quick.
You get out.
I won't do it. I hired you to take me to the graveyard.
You talk just like that Mr. Booth did.
Did you make him get out of your cab?
You're darn right I did.
What would you have done if he hadn't got
I
out?
just throwed him out.
Well, you can't throw a woman out.
No. But I can just park here till you get out.
But I won't get out.
You will, too.
No, I won't. I'll die right here in your cab.
Lady, please don't do that.
Then you get along to the graveyard. You better hurry, too.
Please.
What I mean, Don, there isn't much time.
Lady.
You better take my name.
Why?
You know why.
So I can tell the cops who you are.
Who I was.
Okay, lady, but I wish you wouldn't.
It's Henrietta Gilbert.
Miss Gilbert, would you please?
Drive on.
I'll get in the jam, Miss Gilbert.
Drive on.
Doggone it.
Hurry.
Why couldn't you take another cab?
Because this is the right thing.
What do you mean?
I knew it as soon as I saw it.
This thing look like a hearse or something?
To me it does.
Well, it ain't.
That's what you think.
I don't see what you're so cheerful about.
Why shouldn't I be?
Well, if you're going to die...
Well, goodness, I can't help it, so why cry about it?
Well, sir, I turned around and I looked at it. That was where I made my mistake. I turned right around again, and where that streetcar come from, I'll never know. Oh, I didn't miss that one. Oh, sure. She was kidding. No, I wasn't hurt at all. It was cut on my part. You hardly see it. It cost me $26 to get my front axle straightened, the grill work welded, and a trip to the license commissioner's office. Of course, I didn't tell him what I told you. I didn't want to lose my license and get sent to the Goofy House besides. You believe it, though, don't you? You will. Yeah, there was another one. A couple of weeks later. It's an old man. Says, take me out to the graveyard. I said, no. He called a cop. On the way, he asked me to stop at the cigar store and get change for a $10 bill. When I come back, he's laid on the floor. Dead. I took 3 weeks off and stayed home. The first night I took my cab out, a soldier in uniform stopped me. Yeah, sure. You know what he said. Until you get him to the graveyard, I don't know what it was. What happened to him in the war. I just heard a funny noise. There he was. That time was kind of rough on me. Well, his license inspector, a fellow named Rice.
You know, you're in a jam, Julius.
I haven't done nothing, Inspector.
Nothing anybody could hang on you so far.
I didn't do a thing.
4 people have died in your cab. Is that nothing?
One of them didn't.
Huh?
He was outside the cab.
Now, look, let's not get into any technicalities.
All right.
Okay, let's hear your story.
I already told it to you, Inspector.
Well, you don't expect me to believe that. Malarkey, do you?
I believe it.
You do, huh?
Well, I was there when they all happened.
And they all wanted to go to the graveyard.
I told you that.
Yeah, I know you did. And they all told you they was going to die.
I told you that, too.
All right, all right. Now, I want you to tell me one more thing, Julius. How did they know they was going to die?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
Didn't you ask them?
I never thought about it.
Why didn't you?
Oh, my gosh, Inspector, would you think of that when somebody tells you something like that?
I don't know. Never happened.
It sure happened to me.
What? Oh, yeah. That's what you say anyway.
It's true, Inspector, just as true as I'm sitting here.
Julius.
Sir?
You didn't kill them people, did you?
No, I didn't. Sir?
I just said,
Oh.
I ought to suspend your license.
No, don't. Please don't, Inspector.
I ought to.
I gotta make a living.
You don't have to kill people.
I don't.
Well, they die?
Everybody dies.
Yeah, but not in your cab.
What?
I mean, they oughtn't to die in your cab.
Well, that'd be all right with me, Inspector.
You can't figure out any reason, huh?
Well, if I could, would I be taking people to the graveyard?
Hey, you got something there, Julius.
I know it.
But, of course, if people tell you to take them somewhere, you have to take them. City Ordinance 809B, 19...
I know it. I
can't figure it out.
Me neither.
Must be something in your cab.
What?
Maybe your cab's haunted.
Don't be. I mean, I don't think so.
Sure you don't say anything to him?
Well, I beef about taking him to the graveyard.
I mean, besides that.
No.
You don't put no hex on him or anything?
I wouldn't know how. What am I going to do, Inspector?
About what? Oh, you can't do anything about these people. They're all dead, ain't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah, but don't do it anymore.
Don't do what?
Or I'll suspend your license.
But, Inspector!
Don't give me an argument now, Julius.
I ain't Inspector. Listen,
One more, and I snatch your license.
But I tell you that I...
Listen, Julius.
What?
There must be a reason for it.
But what, Inspector?
Where's your cab?
Outside. Why?
I got an idea.
Now, listen, Inspector.
What?
I thought you was...
Was what?
I guess you ain't, though.
Yes, I am.
Now, Inspector...
Driver.
Sir?
Take me out to the graveyard.
Okay, so what could I do? Well, he's a license inspector, ain't he? Okay. How do you feel, Inspector?
I feel okay.
Goody.
You can drive fast if you want to. I'll square a pinch.
No, Inspector.
Go ahead.
I go fast, I bump into something, you get your skull busted. That's all, brother.
You won't bump into anything.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
You heading for the cemetery?
Well, you call the cab, Inspector.
I don't feel anything.
Stay that way, will you?
When did these people tell you they was going to die?
Different time.
I'll tell you if I feel like it.
Yeah, you do that, and I'll stop.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
And then I'll run.
Well, I feel okay.
Just keep that way, Inspector. It's all I ask.
This here's a nice cab you got, Julius.
Yeah, it used to be.
Hey, Julius.
What?
This here cab smells funny.
I don't smell nothing.
Well, I do.
Now, listen, Inspector.
No. It's nice.
No.
Flowers.
Huh?
Carnations.
You feel okay, Inspector?
Sure. And roses.
Listen now, sir,
And something else.
What?
Lilies.
Oh.
By golly, that's right.
Oh.
Lilies.
Oh, boy.
Say, Julius, how far are we from the graveyard?
Oh, we're getting closer. You still feel okay?
Oh, I feel wonderful. Just smell them lilies and things.
Yeah, I'm glad I can't smell them.
Just like a greenhouse.
Oh, he's not.
Or like a funeral.
Say.
Eh?
Did you say lilies, Inspector?
Yeah. Why?
I can smell them, too.
How much further, Julius?
We're pretty near there, Inspector. How do you feel?
Elegant. How do you feel?
Awful.
I ain't dead yet.
Don't say that, for God's sake.
What's the matter, Julius?
You sure you feel all right?
Oh, I feel swell. Only them lilies smell awful loud.
Doggone it, there ain't no lilies.
You smell them, don't you?
I sure wish I didn't.
Look, Julius.
What?
There's the cemetery.
Oh, boy, we made it.
Well, don't stop.
Well, why not?
Go on in.
No, sir.
Now, listen, Julius.
I don't want to go in.
I hired you to take me to the cemetery.
On the cuff.
Go on in.
Look, I don't like graveyards, Inspector.
Go on in.
I don't want it.
Go on.
Oh, Well, now we're here.
Yeah, we sure are.
We're here, so let's go back.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Where you going?
Hey, this is a pretty cemetery, Julius.
Well, come on. Come on, and let's go back.
Yeah, it sure is pretty. I'm glad we came.
Come on, Inspector.
No.
Well, why not?
Don't be such a sap, Julius. I'm going to stay here.
What?
I'm going over here and go to sleep.
Hey! That's a grave.
Well, what's the matter with that?
But you ain't dead, Inspector.
Oh, yes, he is, Julius.
Sure he is, Julius. Why, sure, Julius. There's nobody in a cemetery at night, Julius, except dead people.
Sure, Julius. Sure, Julius. That's right.
What? Well, I ain't dead. Yeah, they was right. I guess I'm dead, all right. I took myself out to the graveyard. Oh, yes, I'm still driving the cab, sure. I only make one trip, though. Always out there. I'll probably be picking you up one of these days. You feel all right? The cab's waiting right outside. All you gotta do is say, take me out to the graveyard. See you later. Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper. The man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell. And Mr. Booth was played by Don Briggs. Miss Gilbert was Evelyn Juster. The inspector was Ed Latimer. Music for Quiet Please, as usual, is composed and played by Gene Perazzo. Now, for a word about next week's Quiet Please, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
3. That's next week's story. I've always wanted to write a story with a number instead of a title. 3, of course, isn't written yet, but it might be interesting. Listen next week to 3.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please comes to you from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment, for this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the Haunting Hour. By request.
sits quietly by his fire, his eyes drawn to the shifting, darting tongues of flame. The crackle of the burning wood breaks in upon the silence, and the man stirs comfortably in his chair. Roger Stevens is at peace with the world. Lost in the stillness of his study, the goodwill of the universe seems crowded into this man's successful life. But there is a deception to this peaceful scene of contentment, for at this very moment, the life of Roger Stevens abruptly changes its course. There it is, the phone jangling harshly, cutting the silence into jarring bits of sound. Roger Stevens becomes aware of the insistent ringing. He rises from his chair, walks toward the telephone. He is wondering who can be calling at this late hour. It is almost midnight. There. He is lifting up the phone.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this, please?
Is this Roger Stevens?
Yes, but who's calling?
Did you live in Oak City about 10 years ago?
Yes. See here, who the devil is this?
My name doesn't matter, Mr. Stevens, but I'd like you to know that I'm a friend of Mike.
Mike? Mike who?
You know who I mean, all right?
Say, if this is some sort of joke, it's a rather poor one. I'm afraid I'll have to bid you good night.
Don't do that, Mr. Stevens. You'd better hear what I have to say.
Who are you?
I guess you wouldn't know me without my wings, Mr. Stevens, but you might call me an avenging angel.
And, well, you're drunk. Go home and sleep it off.
I've been looking for you for 10 years. I thought you might have changed your name, but you played it smart. After the verdict of suicide, you figured you were in the clear.
Now, look here, whoever you are. This ceases to be an amusing situation. If you don't tell me who you are and what you want, I'm going to hang up.
All right, Mr. Stevens, if that's the way you want it, okay, I'll give it to you straight. 10 years ago, Mike was in business with you. He found you were stealing from company funds. You killed him. Forged the books to make it look like you'd been the guilty man. And planted the idea of suicide. I never believed it. Never.
Why, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about.
And when I came home, I tried to tell the police that it couldn't have been suicide, but they wouldn't listen. You had left the city. No one knew where.
Now, listen to me, you fool. You've got the wrong man. I don't know any man named Mike. I never killed anyone.
I know you murdered Mike, Mr. Stevens. I've got the proof. But I'm not giving it to the cops. I'm going to kill you myself. I'm going to make you suffer like Mike.
Now, look, I tell you, you're wrong. I don't know who you are or what you want. If this is some joke...
You know it's not a joke.
Now, look, if you don't leave me alone, I'll call the police.
That's a good idea, Mr. Stevens. Why not tell the police you're a murderer? It might be better that way. It would clear Mike. Okay, then. 2 days are all you get. Confess the murder in 2 days. Or I'll kill you myself.
Confess to what? I've done nothing.
2 days, Mr. Stevens. 2 days.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Now, I've heard stories like this before, Mr. Stevens. There's no cause for alarm.
But this fella threatened to kill me, Lieutenant.
Naturally, that's part of the routine. These practical jokers have rather wild imaginations.
Lieutenant, I'm not yet convinced.
Take my word for it, then. I've been a police officer for 20 years. And I know a phony threat when I hear it. As for this murder you're supposed to have committed, well, I'm afraid the verdict is not guilty.
Hello?
Sorry to bother you again so soon, Mr. Stevens.
What is it? Why don't you let me alone?
I'll be around for 2 days. Unless you've just made that unnecessary.
What do you mean?
I just followed you to the police station. Did you confess to killing Mike?
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Now, this has gone too far.
Carrying murder around on your conscience for 10 years must have worn you down.
Now, listen to me, whoever you are. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been to the police, but only to report you for the nuisance you are. Now, I've a great deal of work to do, and I need my rest. Please don't bother me again. Good night. There. That should end it. Oh, Walter, come in. I'm glad to see you.
Sorry to disturb you this late, Roger. But I noticed a light in your window as I was passing by. Say, you look rather drawn.
Huh?
Been reading a mystery or something?
Worse than that, Walter. I've been in one. You what? Oh, well, that's wonderful. Here, let me sit down by the fire. Tell me all about it.
It's not that amusing, Walter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Roger. I didn't realize you were so upset. Well, tell Professor Stone all about it.
Well, it began about 2 hours ago. Some fellow called me up on the phone and insisted that I'd murdered a friend of his.
Roger, are you making this up?
Of course not. I told you it was incredible. This fellow, whoever he is, claimed that his friend used to be a partner of mine, that he supposedly committed suicide, but in reality, I'd killed him.
Roger, I've only known you for a few years, but it's never quite struck me that you were a Jekyll and Hyde character.
I went immediately to the police, but they insist it's only a practical joke.
What else could it be?
Well, then how do you account for the fact that a few moments after I returned home, this madman phoned me again? He insisted that I confess the murder, and he's given me 2 days in which to do it.
And if you don't confess this imaginary murder...
He's going to kill me.
Say, he's covered everything. A very thorough fellow.
But who can it be?
Oh, probably one of the boys down at the office. You've been driving him pretty hard, you know.
Well, I've got to, Walter. I promised the architectural blueprints for the new Wilson skyscraper by next week. If I don't deliver, I might as well declare bankruptcy. That's the biggest job I've ever gotten.
Yes, I know. Your bid was a few thousand lower than mine. I hope you make it, Roger. It's a wonderful chance for you.
Don't I know it? Everything was going along beautifully until this maniac began to bother me tonight. I'm worried about this. He must have me confused with someone else.
Oh, forget about that, Roger. You've heard the last of him.
Ah. There it is again.
Shall I answer?
No, I will.
Maybe it's someone else.
At this time of night? Hello?
I'm outside the house, waiting.
Why don't you tell me who you are?
Here, let me have it. Hello. Hello. There's no one on here. Hello. 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 You're not hearing things, are you, Roger?
Please, Walter, not from you. I couldn't stand it.
Couldn't you recognize the voice?
No, I can't. It's not familiar at all.
I wonder why he left the wire when he heard my voice.
Perhaps he knew you would have recognized.
Yes, that's probably it, Roger. Well, whoever it is, you'll be able to dress him down properly when you discover his identity. Then it'll be your turn to call him up all night long.
If it were only as simple as that. If only...
If only what, Roger?
Oh, nothing, Walter, nothing.
Well, I'll be getting along, Roger. You look as if you need some rest.
I hope I can get it.
Better see to it that you do. You have to be in shape for those Wilson building blueprints tomorrow.
Somehow they seem unimportant now.
Look here, Roger. You're letting this thing get the better of you. Now, hold on to yourself. Don't let this jokester upset you.
Thanks, Walter. I'll be all right.
That's the boy. Well, have a good night's sleep.
Well, it's about time you showed up, Stevens. I've been waiting here for you at my office for an hour.
Well, I'm very sorry, Mr. Green. I came as quickly as I could.
Do you have the blueprints for the Wilson building?
Well, you know, it's quite an assignment, Mr. Green.
I'm aware of that, Stevens. But your company promised those plans would be ready for me this week. I've got to start construction the day after tomorrow.
Well, you'll have them, Mr. Green. I'm finishing them this evening at home.
Very well, then. I'll expect the blueprints no later than to noon tomorrow.
Well, they'll be ready. I promise you that.
And if you fail, Stevens, you're through as an architect. I promise you that.
Joe, is my car ready?
Oh, hello, Mr. Stevens. Yeah, sure. It's all serviced.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Oh, say, Mr. Stevens.
Yeah, Joe?
Some fella passed by and left this message for you.
Who was he?
I don't know. I never saw him before.
All right, Joe. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Stevens.
Mike and me are waiting. Tell the cops the truth about the murder. You'll have one more day. Best regards, the Angel.
I've never heard of any criminal called the Angel.
Well, this fellow's no ordinary crook, Lieutenant. He's got me confused with someone else, someone who really murdered his friend.
We could check with the police of Oak City, but you don't even know the name of your hypothetical victim. Besides, it's obviously a hoax. You're a reputable citizen.
But can't you trace this man by his note?
Even a Ouija board couldn't help me with this, Mr. Stevens. It's printed, and there's no legitimate signature. Any man in this city could have written it.
Well, isn't there anything you can do?
Frankly, I don't think anything's necessary. I still feel this is nothing but the work of a practical joker.
Look, can't you give me a police guard?
Tell you what I'll do, Mr. Stevens. I'll post a man outside your house. That's the best I can do at the moment.
Well...
That's all I can do.
What about the telephone call?
I can't stop calls from coming through. But don't worry too much about that. Your angel is bound to get a wrong number sometime.
All these plans for the building. I've got to finish them. If he'd only leave me alone. I can't think. Green must have them. Construction the day after tomorrow. No, I won't answer. Why doesn't he let me alone? He could only stop ringing.
Hello, Mr. Stevens. I've been waiting for you to pick up the phone. I know you're there. That's all right. You don't have to answer. I guess you're tired. 10 years of hiding would be tough on any man. But it'll soon be over. Just one more day. Good night, Mr. Stevens. It won't be long now.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Stevens.
Operator.
Yes, sir?
Quickly, trace that call that just came to my apartment.
What was that, Mr. Stevens?
I said trace that call I just got.
I don't understand, sir. There hasn't been a call to your apartment for 2 hours.
Roger Stevens has turned sharply from its security and contentment to a torment of fear and anxiety. A strange man has been phoning him constantly, threatening him with death unless he confesses a murder to the police. Stevens has one more day left in which to confess this crime of which he knows nothing, or he will be killed. Roger Stevens feels a growing terror in his heart. Just a few moments ago, he had received another telephone call. But upon asking the switchboard operator to institute an immediate tracer, he was informed that no one had phoned his apartment for the past 2 hours. Roger Stevens sits in his study, staring vacantly into the fire, the dull glaze of fear in his eyes. The jangling of the phone again, like a sharp, sudden pain. He jumps up quickly, runs rapidly across the room.
Hello? Hello?
I understand you were looking for me, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, yes. I'd like to find you.
You'll see me soon enough. You can count on that.
Look, why don't you come to see me now, huh? Maybe we can talk this over.
I made our bargain, Mr. Stevens. There's nothing else to say.
I'll pay you anything, only go away. Leave me alone.
You haven't much time left. Better make up your mind.
For the last time, I tell you, I don't know your friend, Mike. You won't even let me know his last name.
You know his name. Talk to the police.
Hey, look, I'm carrying a gun. If you try to touch me, I'll kill you.
Put it back in your desk. It won't do you any good. You're going to die. And without any company from me.
You're a brave man hiding behind a voice.
I won't have to much longer. Goodbye, Mr. Stevens. This is the last time I'll be calling you. The next time we talk, you'll see me much better than you do now.
No, wait.
I have, too long.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Stevens, but a private detective has other things to do besides running around looking for comedians.
Mr. Harris, I'll pay you any price you want, but I must have your protection.
Sorry, Mr. Stevens, but I can't take the case.
But the man who's been calling me is a dangerous criminal. He's threatened to kill me.
If he does, it'll be a joke on him. Oh, I'm sorry, but you see, I've heard so many similar cases to yours.
How do you account for the telephone call to my apartment?
Well, maybe the switchboard operator is in on the gag. Or maybe it's your imagination.
It wasn't my imagination. There was such a call.
Well, whoever your friend is, he's covered all the angles.
Then will you help me?
No, Mr. Stevens, I'm afraid I can't. It's not in my line. When you have a murder on your hands, look me up.
Take hold of yourself, Roger. You're going to pieces.
What would you do? Somebody's threatened my life. I don't know him. I don't know what he's talking about.
You know, it's just possible that this whole thing is real.
I know it is. Walter, you've got to help me.
What can I do?
Stay here in my office with me, Walter. Stay with me. You'll never come near me with you around.
I can't do that, Roger. Oh, it's ridiculous. He wouldn't dare harm you. He's just trying to frighten you.
I'm not sure. I don't know. How can I take a chance with my life?
Listen, Roger, you've got to get a grip on yourself. Green wants those blueprints by this afternoon. You know what it means if you fail to deliver them.
I don't care. I can't finish this.
But you must. It'll mean the end of your business if you don't.
I don't care. I don't care. I can't do it.
Roger, come to your senses. Green will be here at any moment. Now, what did you tell him?
Tell him just what I've told you. I'm giving up the plan. The Wilson building can be built by somebody else. You take it over.
Are you sure of all this?
Yes.
You made up your mind?
Yes. Good heavens. Leave me alone, will you?
All right, Roger. You know what you want. You go over to my place and wait for me there. I'll speak to Green when he arrives.
And I can stay with you, Walter.
Of course you can, Roger. Now, don't worry any more about those telephone calls. We'll fight this thing together.
Thanks, Walter. You'll hurry, won't you?
As soon as I can, Roger. Here, I'll walk to the elevator with him.
He said I had until tonight.
It'll probably end then. He's tired of the whole thing himself.
Oh, if I could only be sure.
Here we are.
Look, why don't you come home with me now, huh?
Be reasonable, Roger. I've got to talk to Green about new blueprints for the Wilson building.
Going down, sir?
Goodbye, Roger. And don't worry.
All the way, sir?
Huh? Oh, street level, yes. Say, you're new here, aren't you?
Yes, Mr. Stevens.
Well, that's strange, you're knowing my name.
I saw you come in. I make it my business to know all the tenants in the places I work.
You know, you're strangely familiar to me.
I've worked in a lot of buildings.
No, it's not your face, it's...
Anything wrong, sir?
No, it's nothing.
You were saying something about my being familiar, Mr. Stevens.
No, I was mistaken. Forgive me. What's wrong? Why are we stopping?
I don't know. We're stuck.
What floor is this?
We've stopped between the 5th and 6th floors.
Well, use your emergency switch. I've got to get out of here. The lights have gone out.
Yeah, our power's off. We may be stuck here for a few hours.
Well, we can't be. Not jailed up here in this elevator shaft.
You don't have much choice, Mr. Stevens. Yeah, you better make yourself comfortable.
Your voice. You're in the dark. There's something about it.
Oh, is that what you recognize?
No. There's just something about it. It's probably just my imagination.
Well, Mr. Stevens?
Yes. Yes, what is it?
I guess this is it.
What do you mean?
There comes a time in every man's life...
Stop that now. Don't come near me.
When you pull your ideas together and think of how quickly the years have gone.
No, please, no, don't touch me, please.
Life just seems to slip through your fingers.
No.
All right, everybody, stand back. Give him a little air, will you?
What's wrong here? What happened to Mr. Stevens?
The elevator got stuck in the shaft, sir. Mr. Stevens, well, he sort of went to pieces.
Stevens, wake up, man. Wake up. How do you feel?
Oh, Mr. Green.
Yes.
The elevator man, he tried to attack me.
Oh, I did nothing of the sort, sir. He just went wild in the car and began screaming like someone was trying to murder him.
Before you had this fit of yours, Stevens, did you finish the plans?
But I didn't do anything to him.
All right, that's enough. I believe you. Well, Stevens?
No, Mr. Green, I'm sorry. Walter Stone is up in my office. He's taking over.
He had better take over everything, Stevens. You're through in this town. I'll see to that. Hello, Roger.
Oh, hello, Walter.
As quickly as I could. Old man Green was a bit of a problem. It took a lot of convincing that I could finish the plan.
Don't talk to me about the blueprints. I'm not interested.
Oh, what you need is a good rest. Go away and forget about this morbid joke.
You still persist in calling it a joke, huh?
I'm sorry, Roger.
Walter, this is my last night. I haven't gone to the police to confess. I'm afraid. I'm terribly afraid.
What happened to you in the elevator?
Oh, I don't remember it too clearly. I thought the operator was the man who's been phoning me.
I spoke to him on the way down in his car. He told me he was just talking to pass the time when you suddenly seemed to go crazy.
Maybe I am. I don't know.
Take it easy, Roger. It's all over.
Oh, it'll never be over.
What do you mean, never?
I'm going to give myself up.
You really are going crazy.
I don't know the man who's been calling me, but I can't take this any longer. I'm going to tell the police the truth.
The truth?
Yes, Walter.
10 years ago, I did murder a man. His name wasn't Mike. It was George Matthews. He was my partner.
Great Scott, Roger. It's unbelievable.
Why do you think these calls began to drive me out of my mind? If it were just a joke, I'd have ignored these phone calls.
Then you did kill George Matthews in Oak City.
Yes, in Oak City. How did you know it was Oak City?
Why,
I never told you I lived in Oak City. I never told you it was Oak City this fellow Mike was supposed to have been murdered in.
Look, Roger, stop imagining. I told you it's all over.
And the plans for the Wilson building. You wanted that contract. You always did.
Excuse me, Roger, the phone. I've got to answer.
No, well, I'll answer that phone. Maybe it's our friend.
Roger, I think it would be better if
Stay back, Walter. I'm going to answer that phone if I have to knock you down first.
Hello? Hello?
Yes?
Well, I guess it's all finished, Mr. Stone. I understand you got the contract. Boy, you should have seen Stevens in the elevator. He almost went nuts.
Would you mind repeating that?
I said he almost... Wait. Who is this?
Go on. What's the rest of it?
Who is this? You're not Mr. Stone.
He hung up.
Roger, please, put that gun away, Roger.
I once warned the voice over the phone that I carried a gun. Didn't he tell you?
Put it away. We can talk this out man to man.
Yes, Walter, you made the same mistake I did. You were too greedy. It never works out. That call that the switchboard operator denied receiving. You planned that also, didn't you?
I didn't know you'd killed a man, Roger. I asked the operator to say she hadn't received any calls, but it was all part of a harmless plan. It was all an accident. I just wanted to frighten you into not finishing the plans. I needed the contract.
Walter, you've given me a brilliant idea.
Stay away from me. Stay away. No, Roger. Please, it was only a joke.
Bad you didn't get the last laugh.
Roger. No.
Operator, get me the police. I want to confess a murder.
Shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.